Hello, everybody, and welcome in to the NFL season preview for the 4-3 show. I'm your host, Ryan Blank. I'm alongside Dominic Stern, Parker Dunn, and Pat Fortuna. Gentlemen, how are we doing today?
I'm great.
Doing pretty solid.
Padres are winning right now, going for the sweep. Got to listen to my roommate yell at the Celtics all afternoon. So
that you did.
I'm having a pretty good day.
Okay, you guys we have a lot to talk about today. It's going to be a loaded show with recent news and our picks for records, division winners, and for week one. So let's get into it. We are going to start off with Earl Thomas, who was released from the Baltimore Ravens recently for
stemming out of last season. But I think he's still going to be a great asset wherever he ends up. I think that there's a lot of teams that could use a safety like that. And I don't worry about where he's going to end up. I think he'll be fine. I don't know really any potential landing spots. I mean, I could say the obvious bias thing. The Patriots do need a safety with Patrick Chung opting out, but I think it's unlikely we sign him. But he is the perfect kind of player for Bill Belichick, who likes to whip people into shape.
Yeah, that's one of those things where it's tough to say because I'm not in that Ravens locker room or in that front office, so I'm not around the guy. I don't know how much of a distraction he could potentially be for them because he must be a bigger one. Otherwise, they wouldn't just make a move that significant. I do think that unless it really was considered detrimental, like they're saying, that's a move you shouldn't make because you're not going to be able to just find another guy who's a free agent available to replace a guy like Earl Thomas. He may not be playing at the same level he used to with Legion of Boom, but he's still one of the better safeties in the league. So I think that it's a very stacked defense over there in Baltimore, but that's going to be a hole that they're going to have to fill, and that could be one of those spots in that defense, the offenses try and take advantage of.
Yeah, and it's another one of those moves where I assume most of us had the Ravens at least near the top of the AFC and definitely on top of their division. And it's one of those moves where you're like, hey, is this going to affect the way I'm going to start picking games at the beginning of the year? The way that I'm going to project the standings to fill out. And Earl Thomas is obviously one of the best safeties in the NFL. And, the Ravens, they deemed his actions to be so detrimental to the team that he just had to be let go. And it's a power statement. And it really sends a message to the entire team, really saying, hey, you need to cooperate. You need to focus on winning us some ball games. Otherwise, you're going to be gone. Because if you're not as good as Earl, you've got even less of a margin for error.
Yeah, you guys are right. This is a release that I did not really expect anything that you would see him get cut for this. I didn't think it was that big of a deal. But at the same time, you see the Ravens. They've added to that defense. They got Calais Campbell. They kept Matthew Judon. They got Patrick Queen in the draft. And now they're releasing one of their top players. They paid him a lot of money. And it had to be like it was written in his contract. It had to be actions detrimental to the team, and that's what it was. And that's the reason why he was cut. It could have been they wanted to save money. Who knows what it was, but the Ravens just wanted rid of Earl Thomas. But for me, I see three likely landing spots for him. The first one is the obvious Dallas Cowboys. You saw the history with how he has said he wanted to be a Cowboy. The Cowboys have been interested in him, so I can see that. I also see the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers secondary is really bad, and they need a safety, and they need help in that secondary. I know they just drafted Antoine Winfield out of Minnesota, but they could still use another guy, and that could be Earl Thomas. And then the last team would be the 49ers. I don't think they could afford him, but I believe that he could be a good sign to boost the secondary, especially at the safety position. Moving on with that, we are going to go into a load of extensions. The first one is Keenan Allen of the Los Angeles Chargers, Dom's former team. He signed a 4-year contract worth up to $80 million. What do we think of this contract extension, and what do you think it does for the Chargers going into their future with potentially Justin Herbert as their quarterback?
Well, he's a borderline top 5 wide receiver in the NFL when healthy. Now, of course, when healthy are the two important words there because he doesn't have a great history when it comes to injuries, but this dude, he just runs just immaculate routes. And his hands are as sure as any player in the league. And you've seen when he plays the full 16 games, he's amongst the league leaders in receptions, yards, and is always touchdowns. And they're locking up a key part of their offense. They let Melvin Gordon walk, and Keenan Allen was always one of my favorite Chargers back when they were in San Diego. We don't need to go into that anymore. It's a bad era of my life. It's done. But Keenan Allen, stud. This had to be done if you're a Chargers. So good extension.
One thing I'd like to point out with this, since we're going to get plenty of conversations as far as what this contract means for the team going forward and whether or not that's a good amount for him, I'm going to look at a different perspective, and I'm going to look at it as far as how this changes the wide receiver market. We'll obviously get to the Hopkins contract, but I think that definitely played a factor in the target price that he was looking for. He negotiated completely on his own. He didn't have an agent, which is something that certain players are doing nowadays. And, well, props to him. He handled it very well because he got a payday himself. But I do think that when you see contracts like this to very good receivers in Keenan Allen, who, if stay healthy, are worth quite a bit amount of money in that market, I do think that plays a factor for a guy like Hopkins because, in those conversations, as soon as he found out the news, he had to have been comparing himself immediately, saying, look at my numbers, look at my production, look what I've done, and see what he's getting. I'm looking for more than that. And I think that definitely had a trickle-down effect as well.
Pat?
I got nothing.
Okay.
I
So
was gonna mention.
for Keenan Allen, he's a terrific wide receiver when healthy. I wouldn't say he's a top 5, but easily a top 10. So like we've seen, he's been a Pro Bowl selection the past 3 years. He's made 84 total starts over his career for the Chargers. He has over 500 career receptions, over 6,400 total receiving yards, 4,000-yard seasons. He has 2 of the 3 San Diego/LA Chargers 100 reception seasons. He's been terrific for them. He's a terrific piece, terrific wide receiver, and he's a great target and a great option to have, especially when you have Tyrod Taylor, who really throughout his career hasn't had any great offensive weapons. And then
Absolutely not. No.
And then looking at Justin Herbert now, who is right now presumed to be the future, he's a great weapon to have for him as he develops and could take over that starting role.
Yeah, and
Now-
Ryan, I got one note. So did Tyreek Hill play in the Pro Bowl last year?
No, he did not.
No.
He
Did
didn't.
Keenan Allen play in the Pro Bowl last year?
Yes.
He's
Then
got you there.
we can only conclude that Keenan Allen is better than Tyreek Hill.
We can only conclude that Tyreek Hill has won a Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's the joke, Ryan. Thank you. And Pro Bowl is just.
Okay.
Hey, what am I wrong, Ryan?
Hey, facts are facts. I have
Facts
I
are
have to
facts.
agree with you on that. Now, moving on to our next extension, it is Cam Hayward of the Pittsburgh Steelers, who signed a 5-year, $75.1 million extension. What do you guys think this does for the Steelers as they have a terrific set of pass rushers and a terrific safety in Mika Fitzpatrick? That's a terrific defensive unit they got. What do you think this does for them?
A good defense can only take you so far without a good offense. I mean, I learned that as a Patriots fan last year. So I don't think this really means anything. I think that these Steelers are still going to be like 6-10. I don't think they're a good team. What do you mean? What are you making that face for? The Steelers have like.
We'll get into our season
Okay, yeah,
predictions
we will.
going in a little bit.
I just don't think this extension means much, and I think that there's a lot of extensions or a couple extensions that we have on this list that just mean nothing. They're a 6-10 team. All right, that's all I have.
Yeah, I'm gonna kind of echo what Pat says. Their offense last year was just awful. Now that they are getting Big Ben back, but is Big Ben going to be healthy? This is money that they could have been used towards the offense that they chose not to in the future. Now listen, Cam Hayward is a great defensive player. He's going to help the defense be good, but this doesn't help their offense, which was so bad last year. So I agree with Pat. This doesn't help them out that much.
Okay, you guys are taking that perspective, so the perspective I'm going to take is just really focusing on the kind of player he is. I feel like he's been one of those quietly underrated guys who's doing solid work year in, year out, and there's a reason why that Steelers defense has a case to potentially be the best in the league next year. I think that money definitely is backed up by his play. You guys mentioned whether or not that's the right approach from the Steelers. I can't really say that it necessarily is, because I do think that the issue with them has been the offense, because we've seen that without Big Ben being healthy, this is a team that is not able to get the ball down the field. Mason Rudolph and Duck Hodges were both a disaster last year in Big Ben's absence when he went and got injured against the Patriots. So I don't know. I think there's a lot of question marks as to where they could have spent that money, but that shouldn't take away from who he is as a player and how he earned that money, I guess I'm trying to say.
I'm going to take the same approach with Parker on this one. I think it's a great extension for them. Cam Hayward is coming off of a terrific 2019 campaign where he set a career high in tackles with 83, had 9 sacks, 11 tackles for loss. He now, I think, is the highest paid defensive player over the age of 30 in NFL history based on annual salary. He's made the Pro Bowl in the past 3 seasons. He's been a first-team All-Pro twice. He's a terrific defensive lineman, and I think it's a great contract for him, and I think it helps the Steelers' defense. And I think the Steelers are going to be way better than 6-10 this year, but that's just me. We'll get into that later. But moving on to our next extension is going to be DeAndre Hopkins, who was traded from the Texans to the Cardinals, and they just signed him to a mega extension. What are your guys' reactions to this extension?
I'm a huge D-Hop fan. I've been a huge D-Hop fan since his days at Clemson. And I'm not even a huge college football guy, but I've always loved watching D-Hop play. This is a chungus of an extension, dude. This is a lot of money. This
dude really said chungus in 2020.
This is a chungus of an extension. It's absolutely massive. The highest paid non-quarterback. I mean, if that's not a chungus, I don't know what it is. It's like $27.5 million or something like that for a wide receiver. That's insane. That's unheard of. So for those reasons, I am excited. I am happy for the guy. He negotiated most of them himself.
Yeah, I am 100% on board with you. I also am a fan of his because he's an extremely talented wide receiver. There's no doubt that he's been a top 3 receiver the last 3 years. It's just a matter of where you put him in that top 3, which, there's an argument for every single one of those guys amongst him, Michael Thomas, and Julio Jones. So that's not an issue. But the fact that he got that much money, I wasn't thinking of the word chungus when that came to mind, but man, that's too much money. There's no way around it. Again, like I said, I'll reiterate it. Props to him for getting that contract on his own. I mean, we know what numbers he puts up, but wow, he did some good convincing to get that contract. But I do think it's definitely too much money. I'm a believer that a non-quarterback should never get paid anywhere north of $25 million. I think that's too much. Besides, on the offensive side, I should say, as far as weapons that go towards a quarterback, running backs, wide receivers, they shouldn't be given that kind of money. You can make an argument for elite defensive players like pass rushers, but you can't for wide receivers because there's a lot of good ones. They might not be of his caliber, but that doesn't mean you throw around that kind of money.
To kind of fight back against that, if he's your best player, shouldn't he be given the best money?
Well, that's the thing, because he is the best player for the Cardinals, but you can make an argument for Chandler Jones. But I do think that with Hopkins, it's more of a philosophy thing for me because I've seen big contracts get thrown around, and I just don't think it's wise to allocate so much money towards one player because the quarterback is the most valuable position in sports.
Right.
So that's
they have to
understandable.
afford Kyler. Yeah.
So that's understandable, but I just don't believe that you do that for a receiver.
Yeah, but this was only a 2-year extension, though. So first off, I'll start with saying this. There's no better way to make a man happier than throw him a ton of money at you before he's even played a snap for your team. Now, they went untraded for him, and then they also now are paying him. So it's clear that the Cardinals want D-Hop, and they're saying, hey, we love you, we want you to be our guy, and this is the best way to do it. So good for them. And then Kyler, he's just coming off his rookie year. He could still play under a rookie contract for the next 3 to 4 years. So they're signing D-Hop to a short extension, giving him a ton of money, making him happy, and they're not contractually obligated that much money to Kyler Murray. So I don't see it being that big of a problem for them paying a lot of money to D-Hop. So, I mean, you guys have already said enough about how good D-Hop is, so I'll pass it on to you guys. This is a great move by the Cardinals.
I agree with them. I think it's a terrific move. It locks him in there till, I believe, 2024, 2025. And I know it's a lot of money. Largest contract for a non-quarterback ever. It's a huge contract. And like Pat said, it's a chungus of a deal. But for sure, it's definitely a big contract for them because this gives stability for Kyler Murray to have a top option. Hopkins is coming off his 4th career Pro Bowl and his 3rd straight year as an All-Pro. He's a huge upgrade for them, and he's a terrific wide receiver. I think he's the 2nd best wide receiver in the NFL. So
the best. But.
That's a debate for a later day. But no, he's a terrific wide receiver, and I think this is a great deal for them. Did they give him a lot of money? Yeah, but I don't think it's too big of an issue. So now we're going to move on to his former quarterback, Deshaun Watson, signing a 4-year, $160 million extension with the Texans. What are your reactions to this extension, and does it make sense for Deshaun Watson?
They absolutely needed this. The Texans, they needed something to go their way. They 100%. I mean, they needed to lock this guy down, or they were going to lose him, and they knew it. So, good move by them. They have Brandon Cooks. He'll be okay. I mean, he'll be a good receiver if he stays healthy. They have Will Fuller. They could still be a pretty decent team. There's too many question marks with them right now.
Talk about injury prone. Look at Will Fuller.
I know. Locking Deshaun Watson down is going to be huge for their future, because by locking him down, he boosts the morale of the team. They boost the morale of the team. They boost the morale of Deshaun Watson, especially, and he's your leader. I mean, if anyone's gonna keep your team high, it's him. So,
yeah, Deshaun Watson's a winner. He won at Clemson. He's won at Houston, despite having not the greatest of surrounding talent and even coaching, you could argue, too. So I think their offense has an extremely high ceiling, but a relatively average to below average floor. You already mentioned the wide receivers that they have. Don't forget about David Johnson, our running back. If he's healthy, talk about an explosive running back. And their offensive line was significantly better last year than it had been in previous years, which was the biggest concern on offense for Houston Texans. And Deshaun Watson's getting a lot of money, but he wins. So you pay winners, and he earned all this.
Yeah, this contract for me doesn't come as a surprise at all. This was almost expected. It would have been the exact opposite. I would have been shocked had they not gotten it done. But they knew they had to do this, especially after doing a trade that involved getting rid of DeAndre Hopkins to the Cardinals. Of course, there's more to that story. There was issues with him and Bill O'Brien. You don't just randomly trade a guy like that for almost nothing, or at least nowhere near what he's worth, without there being something extra to it. But this was something that was going to happen after seeing the contract extension that Mahomes got. You know that was on Deshaun Watson's mind. As soon as these guys get big contracts, that completely changes the market for that position, and this was no different from any of those other scenarios.
Yeah, I think this was a crucial deal for Houston to make, especially after trading away your top wide receiver and all-pro, DeAndre Hopkins. I believe that it was interesting for me to see that he took only 4 years. I expect him to take somewhere closer to 5 or 6, but I think it's a good deal. Keeps him locked up for at least 4 more years. He's one of the best young quarterbacks in the game with Mahomes and Lamar Jackson, and I really like Deshaun Watson. Like Dom, you said he's a winner because he is. He led Clemson to a national title, and he's led the Texans to incredible wins, like that wild card win against the Bills last year. But I think the one thing that the Texans have failed him on is his offensive line. In 2018, he was sacked 66 times. Last year, he was sacked 44 times. He's been sacked 125 times total over his 3-year career. They really need to address that line more, and they haven't done that. So I think that could hurt him.
And he only played half a season.
Exactly, and he got sacked 19 times. So I really like Deshaun Watson. I think he's a top 5 quarterback in the league, and he's really going to keep balling out and playing well. But I think the question mark for him is his offensive line
and his coach. I think that's why
I expect Bill O'Brien to get fired after this year.
Well, I think that's why they signed him such a short extension, because he said, "Look, I don't want to get locked down for 10 years if this dumpster fire of an organization continues."
Right. It's much easier to trade for a quarterback if the quarterback isn't signed to a massive deal. So he is taking a good his logic was reasonable for signing for such a short amount of time, because he could have signed for a long time. Deshaun Watson is one of the best quarterbacks in the league. The Houston Texans are a wild card team in the AFC for sure. Because like I said, really high potential offense, but could also not be very good. And Ryan, you mentioned the sacks went down significantly last year. Offensive
they
line
went
definitely
down.
improved.
It improved because they got Laramie Tunsil. But
Oh yeah,
still being sacked 44 times, you still got to get that number down. And they lack a lot of depth on the offensive line, so I think that's going to hurt. But he's still an electric player, and he's still going to put up big numbers. Now, moving on to our final extension. Dom, we're going to have you start this one off because it is Jalen Ramsey. He inked a 5-year, $105 million extension today with the Los Angeles Rams. Dom, what do you think of this extension? And could this put the Rams out of the race to keep Robert Woods?
well, I already suspected that they weren't going to re-sign Robert Woods, and the Rams were forced to basically sign Jalen Ramsey to an extension when they traded 2 first-round draft picks for him, which, as I've said several times on this podcast, was dumb. And listen, Jalen Ramsey is one of the best cornerbacks in the league. At his peak, he was the best. And when he's at his peak, he is the best corner in all of football. Now, he hasn't been at his peak in over 2 years. He's still remaining around a top 5 corner. He helps our team. He's going to help our team going forward, but we're paying him a lot of money. It's just one of those situations where, like, as a Rams fan, I'm like, okay, this whole Jalen Ramsey thing could have just been avoided. We could have had our first-round draft pick last year, could have had our first-round draft pick this upcoming year, but instead now we're locked into Jalen Ramsey for way more money than where we would be with a first-round draft pick. It's a puzzling situation because I'm not sure if it's for the best in the Rams' future or not.
Yeah, this is a contract where it resets the market again. There's been a lot of big dollar figures involved with some of these top players at their position, and this is no different. This is a lot of money to be giving to Jalen Ramsey, but like Dom mentioned, there's not really much for me to add as far as the player he is, because when he's at his best, he's an elite level player, not just at his position, but on the defensive side of the ball when it comes to the NFL. So it's not too much of a surprise. I don't want to make a comparison between sport to sport, especially since you guys probably aren't familiar with it. But one that I look at as a Sharks fan is Erik Karlsson. For those of you who don't know, he's a defenseman, one of the better ones in the league. They traded for him, and they gave him a huge extension in the offseason, and it seems like it has bit them in the butt since then. We'll have to wait and see if that's the case for this contract. But when you look back to that trade, they gave up 2 first-rounders to get him. So in hindsight, you look at it like this. Well, had he walked for free agency, that would have sucked, because then all of a sudden you just gave up those 2 first-rounders, but you were able to keep him. Although it was for a lot of money, you're still able to do that. So it wasn't as if those picks were for nothing.
Pat, you got anything you want to add?
Nope.
Okay. So
Nothing.
for Jalen Ramsey,
Good for Jalen Ramsey.
we've known he's a terrific corner, one of the best in the entire league. But I said it last year, and I agreed with you, Dom, that the trade just didn't make sense. And I think that making a priority to sign Jalen Ramsey hurt them on bringing back guys like Corey Littleton, Dante Fowler, and guys like that. They lost some big pieces on defense. And I think that making Jalen Ramsey a priority after giving up 2 first-round picks was a huge reason for that. And probably looking at it was a trade they shouldn't have made. So congrats, Jalen Ramsey. Terrific corner. Going to be a big piece for that defense. But in the end, I don't know if it was completely worth it. So moving on, Jadeveon Clowney has finally signed, and he had chose the Tennessee Titans on a 1-year deal worth up to $15 million. What do you guys think about this signing, and does this keep the Titans in the race for the AFC Championship?
Well, I'd have to say congrats to Jadeveon Clowney. He was looking for a ton of money, and although it's not a long-term contract, which a lot of these guys want to secure just so you can get that guaranteed money and have something to fall back on for years to come, he was able to make the most of it. He got $15 million this year. I'd say it's pretty solid, especially with how bleak the situation looked with teams not being very interested in him and his talents. So I think that this is a move for the Titans where it's going to improve that edge rush. I think that could pay dividend. They lost Jarrell Casey, who really hurt their interior by trading him around for a 7th rounder. So getting another pass rusher, although not at the exact same position, is going to help that D-line get to the quarterback. I think he's a guy that's a little bit inconsistent. Yeah, he's like a home run or he's nothing. He's either going to give you a big play every once in a while or he's going to be relatively inconsistent. That's just kind of the way his motor works. But either way, if you have the money at this point, although you could always look for the cap to roll over to the next season, The Titans had the money to get him, and they're going to get themselves an impact player, and I think that that's going to help. And I think that it's going to be a move that it's low risk, high reward if you're the Titans.
Yeah, I mean, I think Jadeveon Clowney, well, the Titans in general, I think that the Titans in general were already AFC contenders. I think that they're going to come off the heels of last year and they're just going to take off running. So I think to help their defense, I mean, it's going to do nothing but help them. It's a low risk signing, and he should be pretty good. So I good for the Titans, good for Jadeveon Clowney.
And signing him to a 1-year deal, like Parker already said, when you have that money, it's either the money's going to roll over to next year, or you could try and help your team win a championship this year. It's pretty much a no-brainer. If you're a team that has an edge rushing need, that's what they really have. So Jadeveon Clowney, I think Parker said it perfectly, actually. There's a couple of plays a game where he's just going to be insane. He's going to make an insane tackle for a loss or an insane sack, like that tackle we saw in the Michigan-South Carolina game.
Classic.
But then there's also going to be games where he just is silent. And that's the risk you're going to take with Jadeveon Clowney because he's an animal. And you also got to hope that he stays healthy too.
Yeah, Jadeveon Clowney, he's had a lot of injury problems, but he's also coming off the worst season of his career, posting career low with 3 sacks after being traded to the Seahawks. I actually thought he was going to end up going back to Seahawks, but I think this is a good deal for the Titans because the way that I see it is that they could move him around the line to just create mismatches across the offensive line, which I think will work. But I think the best part for Clowney is that he's reuniting with Mike Vrabel, who was the defensive coordinator for the Texans in 2017. And in that year, he posted career highs in sacks, which was 9.5, tackles for loss 21, and QB hits, which were 21. And just that one season with Vrabel. So I think he's going to see greater production and have a bounce back year, especially with Vrabel. Moving on now, we are going to get into a couple injuries. And the first one is going to be Derwin James of the Chargers. Dom, we're going to let you start because you're, for some reason, cheering about an injury.
I'm not cheering about an injury. I'm cheering about the Chargers' playoff chances suddenly going down. Derwin James is one of the best safeties in the entire league. His ability to rush the passer, defend the run, and defend the pass is almost unmatched. Him and Jamal Adams are two of the best when it comes to that. And the problem with Derwin James was that he wasn't healthy at Florida State, and that's why he slid to the Chargers. And the Chargers always do this. They always do this. They're idiots. They suck. They can't do anything right. They draft these guys with insane talent that are injury prone. And what do they do when they become Chargers? They get injured. It's insane. They did it with Keenan Allen. They did it with Jason Verrett. They did it with Mike Williams, and then they did it with Derwin James. And guess what? They've all had injury problems. And their fans are like, why are we always written injured? It's because you draft injured players. You feel bad for the Chargers fans of San Diego that stayed in the LA fans that for some reason chose the Chargers. But Derwin James is an animal. He's one of the best safeties in the league. It sucks that he's going to be missing a lot of time. But viva la Chargers sucking.
Yeah, going off of that, Derwin James is one of the best, not just safeties, but defensive players in the league since he entered. He's had a huge impact on that defense, which is collectively one of the best on paper going into every season. Problem is, all these injuries seem to bite them, and it's what holds them back from being a good team because when they are able to stay healthy or relatively healthy, all things considered, that's when they made the playoffs and were a very good team. They just haven't been able to do that over the years consistently. So this is going to hurt them. This is a huge loss for the Chargers. He was out going into the season last year with his foot injury. Now he has to deal with the meniscus. It's just bad news because once injuries start to pile up, no matter how significant they are, of course, this one is dealing with the knee and the meniscus. That's a big deal. But it doesn't matter how significant any injury is. If you continue to sustain injuries, they add up. They take a toll on your body. And it's just not a good sign for a very talented young player in this league.
Yeah, it's a shame to see, especially because I think the Chargers, if they could just stay healthy, for the love of God.
If they could stop drafting non-injured players.
But they draft players.
They
draft players with so much boom potential, and every year they go down with a torn meniscus or a torn ACL. And I understand, good, they're drafting injured players, but They should be so good. Players heal from injuries, but for some reason, the Chargers are just glass. And I feel so bad for them because I know you don't, Dom. I feel so bad for them because I know they could be such a good team if they could have especially like last year when they had Phillip Rivers at QB. They could have been so good, but there's just so many things working against them. It's the LA curse. It's the LA curse.
Yeah, talking about the Chargers again, Dom loves seeing the fortune of the Chargers be poor. But Derwin James is one of the best young players in the NFL, one of the best safeties in the NFL, and it sucks to see a guy of his caliber go down with another injury. He's out for the year with a torn meniscus, and it sucks. Even though I'm happy that the Chiefs don't have to face him and that it makes it easier, it's still you don't want to see the top talent, some of the league's top talent get hurt and miss time because of an injury. You want to beat every team when they're at their best.
Unless you're Dom and they're a Charger.
Yeah. So like Dom said, they just keep drafting guys who are very much injury prone. And, karma came back to bite them ever since they left San Diego. Am I right, Dom? Okay, now we're going to move on to the next injury.
They did make the playoffs once. They beat an overrated Ravens team, and the Patriots just stomped them.
Which felt good.
As it should. That was one game I actually rooted for the Patriots. But
thanks, buddy.
Yeah, of course. I know it never happens. But moving on to the next injury, this one hits Parker really hard. Von Miller is out for the year. Parker, we're going to let you start it off. Go right ahead.
Yeah, this one sucks. There's no sugarcoating it. This was a team that did a very good job through the draft and free agency. There seemed to be a lot of hype around the offense led by what will be second-year quarterback Drew Lock. But, of course, the defense was the strength of this team going into it, the way that it has been since their Super Bowl run. And this is an injury where every time it seems like there's an injury involving the Broncos, not just them, but players in all sports and especially the NFL, they always love to add on the last play of practice, almost like just the ultimate gut punch at the end just to make you feel even more upset. But that's what it was, supposedly. With this situation, just for background, it was snowing in Denver. They weren't practicing outside on the field, so they went into the indoor facility and were playing. And it was the last practice, or last playoff practice, I should say. And it was just like a freak injury, they said. There wasn't really an explanation for how it went down. He just twisted his ankle in a very awkward way, a way that they couldn't really describe. And sure enough, he dislocated his peroneal tendon, which is right on his ankle. And what happened is it actually flipped over to the other side of the ankle bone. There wasn't a tear. Sorry, I'm just trying to go in detail because I've read many different reports, obviously. But it was a weird injury, and it's something where there wasn't a tear, but the recovery time is 5 to 6 months. That's the entire season. There is a little bit of optimism, being that he's going to multiple doctors to get second and third opinions to see if maybe the recovery time could be around 3 months. Supposedly, there's been stories where it has been. It's just on the rare side. Just depends because every body of every player works differently as far as recovery time and as far as what he's going to have to do in rehab. This is a huge injury because this is the player. Obviously, Justin Simmons was the star of that defense last year, but Von Miller is the guy. He's been the heart and soul of that defense, and losing an edge rusher like him, especially with Bradley Chubb not being 100% because of some bumps and bruises in training camp, that's a big concern for their pass rush because although they have some young depth, you can't replace a guy like Von Miller.
Well, Parker, I have a question for you real quick.
Go ahead.
Do you think this hurts your chances of staying on the tail of the Chiefs in the AFC?
I do.
Genuinely hurts it?
Yeah, because, and obviously I'll be as specific from team to team in the divisions as far as predictions. I had them winning 10 to 11 games with this team. They have a difficult schedule. But if things were to go right with the offense to go along with what is established as a very good defense, then this was a team that was going to win a lot of games. With this, I definitely think that takes the total down. I'll save that for when we do make the predictions. But the way I saw the season playing out is the Chiefs were ultimately going to win the division, but it was going to be close. It was going to be a different season in the sense that we're behind them by a game or two all year. Now I view it a little bit differently, and they're going to walk away with it sooner than they would have had he not gotten injured.
Yeah, and Pat, you kind of stole what I was going to say with that last question. It's one of those moves where you're like, how much is this going to affect the Broncos season? Because Von Miller is that guy. I consider him one of the best pure pass rushers in the game because he's mostly the pass rusher, doesn't really do much in the run game, given that he's on the outside the entire game. But it's really tough because not only is Von Miller just a really good player, he's also a really good guy. Does a lot for the Denver community. It's tough to see. It certainly makes the road to winning the AFC West for the Chiefs a lot easier. Tacked on with the Derwin James injury, this helps the Raiders and the Chiefs' chances. Obviously, the Chiefs were probably going to win the West anyways, given that they are unarguably one of the best teams in all of football. And then now the Raiders, who have a ton of potential, they could maybe sneak in over the Broncos.
I'm going to address what Dom just said.
Yes, we know the Chiefs are the best in the AFC. We know.
Yeah, the Chiefs were not going to lose the division, first off. Second off, the Raiders, really?
They weren't far off last year. I seem to forget
Do you
that.
not remember when I was telling you, hey, they're only half game back and it's week 8? Like, don't discount this team. They had 2 more first-round picks.
Patrick Mahomes is going to come back. It'll be fine. It'll be
the
fine.
Raiders. That defense got a couple upgrades, but still, that secondary is still really, really rocky. And they lost one of their best weapons.
Right, and the
they
Chiefs
lost one of their
best
best
secondary in the
receivers.
NFL.
Getting Kwiatkowski and Littleton was huge for that defense.
Oh no, that's a
They're
huge add. But still, that secondary is not good.
Right, because I forget.
Yeah, but
Chiefs
if you
have
get to the
best
quarterback,
secondary.
it does not matter. Yeah, the Chiefs secondary is worse than them.
Yeah.
I can argue.
Oh,
Maybe outside of Tyrann Mathieu, dude, the Chiefs secondary is not that good.
I'm sorry. I know we have an agenda to
Hold
stick
on,
to, but
hold
how
on,
can you
hold
say
on.
that the Chiefs have a good secondary? Come on.
I never said
with
the Chiefs have a
straight
good
face.
secondary, but they have a better secondary than the Raiders.
It's arguable.
It's close, dude. It's close.
With Jonathan Abrams being back, that's going to help a lot for Oakland.
You know,
Or
Patrick
Vegas.
Mahomes isn't on your
There it is.
secondary,
There's
right?
number 1. First time I said it on the podcast.
The Chiefs have an okay secondary, not very good, especially with Breland out for the first 4 games, but still, they have a better secondary than the Raiders.
Okay, my bad. They're okay. Does that make you feel better, Ryan? They're okay.
But no, going back to the topic that was on hand with Von Miller, it sucks to see Von Miller go down. I have a ton of respect for Von Miller, terrific player, and he's a huge piece of that defense. He's been a staple of that defense for years, and losing him is going to put the Broncos a couple games back and may cost them a few games. But I still think the Broncos are still going to have a solid year, and they're going to just have to have Bradley Chubb, when he gets fully healthy, step up even more.
But thank God he's out of my Chiefs' way. Thank God.
I wasn't afraid of the Broncos coming in the Chiefs' way anyways.
Oh,
The Chiefs run the AFC West. Moving on. Another injury today. We got Daniel Hunter of the Vikings was put on injured reserve with a neck injury, and he will miss at least the first 3 games of the year. The Vikings had a lot of roster turnover, especially on the defense. How does this affect their defense, at least for the start of the season?
this is an incredible loss for them. I think Daniel Hunter might be one of the most underrated players in the NFL. He's over the past couple of years, he's been consistently at the top of the leagues in sacks, and he gets overshadowed by guys like Aaron Donald, Chandler Jones, Von Miller, guys that just have been established in the league. And you mentioned it, the Vikings, they have a lot of new faces on this defense and a lot of unestablished NFL players because they had one of the largest rookie classes in NFL history. And this certainly hurts their chances of making the playoffs and making a run at what I think is a really weak NFC North.
Yeah, this definitely is a big-time injury for those Vikings. I mean, they were able to pull off the Ngakoue trade, which was big, but losing a guy like this coming off of a career year, we're at 14.5 sacks, he was balling for that defense. And I feel like for them, for a long time, it was always Everson Griffin, and he still had a good year last year, keep in mind, but he was taking that spot over on that defense for being the leader of the group and for putting up the best numbers. And it seemed like he was poised to have another big year. So to see him go down on IR, that hurts. That's a defense which the secondary is the aspect which is the most questionable. But now that you have one of your premier pass rushers being out, that takes a big toll. And it's going to really shape up that defense and really change the way that people view it.
But as of right now, he's only set to miss the first 3 games. I mean, it's not like he's out for the season with this injury.
It's still an injury where, well, for a lot of guys, because depending on the severity of the injury, you don't know when you're realistically going to get them fully back, because that's kind of like the thing with Bradley Chubb.
He's missing 3 big games. He's going against the Colts, the Packers, and then the Titans. 3 really good teams that he's out for.
Well, the good news is only one of those is divisional. Those are 3 good teams, but it won't hurt his division too much.
Yeah, you're right, but it's still 3 good teams that he's out for. And those are 3 big games.
I mean, I think you gotta take it with a grain of salt, and you gotta look at the silver lining. This isn't career ending. It's not season ending. I can't see him missing more than half the season, honestly. At not 100%. I can honestly only see him missing 4 or 5 games. But it does suck. It sucks to see a player go down.
Well, he was put on injured reserve, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, injured reserve. He's missing the first 3 games, at least.
But I thought if you're on injured reserve, you got to miss the.
There's different
weeks.
designations, I believe, that allow it to be those at least the first 3 games.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why can't it just be like baseball with like 10 days?
Yeah, because that was like Drew Lock last year. He was put on IR, so they couldn't activate him until week 13, just based off of matchups and a variety of other things. But he was for sure going to miss the first half of the year regardless. So it really just depends on what they put you in as. I guess.
Yes. No, and he was on the shorter injured reserve. So.
Yep. So do we have anything else we want to talk about with the Hunter injury?
No.
Yeah, it's a big blow to the Vikings, especially because with those 3 games that I said, it's going to hurt them, especially because they lost Everson Griffin, Linval Joseph. They did just trade for Yannick Ngakoue, which we are about to get into, but that's still a big loss, especially with a team that is full of a lot of new faces, especially at the quarterback position. So, like I just segued in, Yannick Ngakoue was traded from the Jacksonville Jaguars to the Minnesota Vikings. A man who's wanted to be traded for the longest time, and he finally gets out of Jacksonville. What do we think about this trade?
I don't think this necessarily means as much for the Vikings as it does for the Jaguars, because the worst get worser, for lack of a better word. I mean, the Vikings do get better, but it's not like that all of a sudden makes them Super Bowl contenders. However, this definitely puts the Jaguars in contention to go like 0-16.
Well, I don't know. I do think the Jags are going to be very bad. Have a good chance at getting that first overall pick, should they end up being as bad as I think they might be. But as far as looking at it as the team that really matters the most for, that's the Vikings. That's a good move, especially when you do have a guy like Danielle Hunter who's going to miss those first couple games of the year. So having one of those pass rushers on the opposite side, being able to produce and be a backbone for that pass rush for those games where he's not going to be in, I think that's big, because this was a very good trade. There were all these rumors. He wanted out for so long. The Jags were holding on to him for dear life. They didn't know what to do with him. They wanted to get as much as they could out of him. Ultimately, Minnesota made a move, and it's one that I very much like for their sake, because they need a good pass rush, especially with Everson Griffin being no longer there.
Yeah, and even with Danielle Hunter being injured, this also helps too. So it helps Minnesota. It helps with the loss of Hunter. As you mentioned, the Jaguars, they're in contention to be one of the worst teams in the league. 0 chance Minshew lets them go 0-16. That's just not happening. My boy Gardner's going to at least find a way to scrape across 1 or 2 wins, especially against Bill O'Brien. And Phillip Rivers always loses games that he shouldn't. That's just a fact. I've learned that. So I think this is a good trade for both sides.
Yeah, I think it's a really good trade for the Vikings, especially when they just lost Hunter, who's now on IR. It still gives them a great pass rusher on the line, so it helps. But it's going to be a rough go for the Vikings, especially at the start of the year without their best defensive piece. But like you said, Ngakoue wanted out for a very long time, and the Jaguars were just holding on to him for some reason. I didn't understand why they would just not get rid of him when he wanted out for so long, and now he's out. And the Jaguars, their roster turnover has just been insane, and I really think that they could end up getting the 1 pick this year. With
I don't see who else would get it.
yeah, there's not many other teams who have just a worse roster and less
The
talent.
Chiefs.
Ha ha ha.
They're just about as bad as OBJ's interests. I'll put it that way.
Oh. Oh no. We're not
We
gonna
don't
get
need.
into that.
We don't need to go down that.
We're not
rabbit
gonna get
hole.
into that one. Okay.
Yeah, no, we'll leave that to other outlets.
Yes.
They can touch it if they want.
Yes. Now we're going to get into our true preview for this season. We're going to start off with division winners and division best word for it, the playouts of each team record-wise. So we are going to start off in the NFC East. Who do we have in fourth place?
The NFC East. I'm a believer in the football team. Like, how can you not be the believer in a football team? It just gets you hyped. So I'm gonna put the Giants in fourth place. Both teams are bad. Both teams are bad. Both teams are bad.
I know, I hear you, but how can you have the Giants worse than the Washington football team?
They're
best-
both bad.
The best player on the Washington football team is Terry McLaurin.
I could argue it's gonna be Chase Young. I'm a huge.
I mean, yeah, but I mean that we've seen anything out of, I'll say.
I don't. They're both bad teams. You can't go wrong with either one of these two.
Yeah. I just can't see the Giants being worse. I can't.
Okay, well, I'm glad that you guys spoke first because when it comes to Washington, I'm just going to stop myself and say where they're located because I'm so bad about building a habit of calling these teams what I have my whole life.
Football team. Football team.
Because, like, literally, we just saw earlier on this that I
called
said
the Raiders Oakland.
it's just normal. It's force of habit. I've been doing it my whole life. So saying Las Vegas is so hard for me, and I feel like they could be similar. So I'm glad you guys started first, so I didn't make that mistake. But yeah, I agree. I agree with Pat. I guess I think that Washington will get that fourth spot.
I have them. So I did a thing where you do every single game this season. I have them 1-15, 0-6 in the division.
That's tough. I mean, I don't know. I feel like I don't know.
Wow.
They're bad. They're really, really bad. They're one of the worst teams we've seen in recent history.
So are the Giants.
I'd
The
almost
Giants
say they're
stink.
worse than the 0-16 Browns.
No.
No, they're
Oh. Okay, yeah,
the
yeah,
116 Browns stunk.
they're bad, but they're not that bad.
They're- okay. All right.
I have the Reds. Oh, let me catch myself there. Washington
Yeah,
football team.
literally.
I almost
Drink,
I keep-
drink.
So the Washington football team, I have them in last place, and the record I have them at is 4-12.
I do as well. I guess I should have mentioned that.
That's so good. That's like really good for them.
No, it's not.
Yes,
They
that's their
found
stealing.
way-
That's
They
their
were-
stealing.
They were competitive in some games at the end of last year. And their defense isn't as bad as you think it is. And plus, Ron Rivera is a winner. Now, last year, their team stunk because they were on like their fourth string quarterback at one point.
Yeah.
But I think this team's going to be better than you think it is, Pat, for
All
sure.
All
I
right.
don't think they win more than 5 games. But the Redskins, the football team and the Giants stink. They stink. So I assume that we have the third place team flipped around for everyone else.
Yeah,
Yes.
I have the Giants in third.
I have the Giants. Do you guys want to go with what records you have for them?
Yeah, 4-12.
Okay, I have the Giants going 5-11.
Same here.
Yeah, football team
Two.
5-11. I feel like five is a good number for the football team. 5
Okay.
football.
I have one
Okay,
for the
no.
football team, so. All right.
Okay, for second place, who do you guys have?
Philadelphia Eagles.
I do as well. Yep.
Eagles.
I have the Eagles. What do you guys have for them finishing at?
9-7.
6-10.
I have them at 7 and 9.
I have the Eagles at 9-7.
Nice.
So we all have the Cowboys in first place.
Yep.
Where did the Cowboys finish
Unanimous.
this season?
12
10
and 5. Oh, we got a wide variety.
Okay. Parker, you said 11-5.
Correct.
10-6 for Dom. Pat, you said 12-4.
Yeah.
I agree with Parker on this one. I'm going 11-5 for the Cowboys. And they will
Their
win the division.
their defense is not gonna let
Yeah.
it be 11-5. I'll just say that.
Dang, we agreed on all four, Ryan. I'm a little concerned with what I said.
I mean, Pat's there with you, so like you should feel a little more
Yeah,
assured.
I said 12-4. I have them being better.
Oh,
Oh,
I
okay.
do. I think that this team could definitely come out of their shell this year. I don't see him going far in the playoffs. I don't see him making a deep push. But I think with McCarthy at head coach, this could be their leap this year. This could be their big step in the right direction. No more Jason Garrett. We'll see if this is a new Cowboys team.
I actually agree with you on that, Pat. And we don't agree on a lot of things, but I think Mike McCarthy's going to do some really good things. And getting Jason Garrett out of there is huge because
Yeah,
he just is
absolutely.
an awful head coach.
Anyways,
Now we're going to move on to the NFC North. Who do we have finishing in last place in the North?
Detroit.
yeah, Detroit.
Sorry, Doug.
Yeah.
I have the Bears in last place.
Wow.
No, honestly,
Yep.
I have the Lions.
that's
I have the
not
Lions.
that crazy.
Let me tell you,
That's a
name,
toss-up.
Name one position where the Bears got better this offseason. Tight end? That's probably the least important position on the football field. Like this team, they struggled last year. A lot of their wins were close and they weren't against very good teams. And the Lions were playing good football with Matt Stafford. Then of course he got injured and they didn't win a single game the rest of the year. Now, am I banking on Matt Stafford to be good and healthy this year? I mean, at least for a decent part of the season, yeah. But I don't see much in the Bears. Their defense is heavily overrated coming into this year. You saw them take a big step back last year. I'd expect to see similar things there. Their offense stinks. I don't care what Pro Football Talk says about Mitchell Trubisky having confidence in himself this year. He stinks.
Okay,
Yeah.
Not
This is
only
awful.
can he not
I think
only
Nick
can he not
Foles is
throw
going to
his
replace him.
It's the
Nick
play
Foles is going
calling.
to come in,
Yeah.
I think, week 3 and no more
Yeah.
Trubisky.
Yeah, and Parker, you mentioned it. Nagy's not even a good play caller. He just has a bunch of really weird plays that worked because no one knew what he was going to do. And now that teams have figured them out, I don't think the Bears are going to be that good. I think they're 5-11, 6-10 maybe.
Okay, you have them at 6-10. Parker, where do you have the Lions finishing?
I have them at 5-11, and the thing is, I agree with Dom because it's a toss-up between those two teams. I could see it going either way, and it wouldn't surprise me one way or the other.
Pat, where do you have the Lions finishing?
I have the Lions going 3-13.
Wow. Okay, I have the Lions finishing 6-10. I think it's going to be a toss-up between them and the Bears. So can we agree?
Lions,
Pat,
Bears,
Parker,
bottom of
and
the
I?
division.
Yes.
Yeah, we just have it flipped. So Pat, Parker, and I have the Bears in third. Dom has the Lions in third.
Yeah.
Okay, what do we? What is your record for the Lions, Dom?
You're muted, buddy.
You're muted, but I understand that you said 7-9.
Yes. Good.
That's really good for the Lions. You don't have them in double-digit losses.
No, I don't. Dude, listen. They're not that bad. Now they did trade Slay over the offseason, but they did bring in Okuda in the draft. I feel like Okuda could be just as good as
Okuda could
Slay.
be really good.
Okuda, I think is going to be really good.
It's not uncommon to see just because a team wasn't good last year, record wise, doesn't mean
You're
they're
right.
going to be good this year.
I can see them doing
I think they're going to be. I think they're going to be better than the Bears. I do.
Okay, Pat, where do you have the Bears finishing this year?
I have the Bears finishing in third at 5-11.
Parker?
6-10.
Okay, I think I was the only nice one to the Bears. I have them going 7-9. I expect Khalil Mack to have a bounce back year. He had a really rough year last year, but I expect more from him. And I think that Bears defense will be better this year. Okay, now let's move on to second place.
Can we all
I
agree
have-
Vikings are 2 and Packers are 1?
Do we all agree on that? Yep. Okay. Where do we have the Vikings finishing?
9-7.
10-6.
I have the Vikings at 9-7.
Yeah,
So what-
the potential for this team is 13-3.
Yeah.
If everyone plays to their level, they can be so good.
My main
But-
worry with the Vikings is that
Secondary.
there are two starting corners right now, which are slated to be Mike Hughes and Holton Hill. Hughes has 5 career starts. Hill has 4 career starts. That is not looking good. They're a very young secondary, especially the quarterback position. I think it's just going to take a lot of adjustment and development. So that's my worry with the Vikings.
They're a young team.
Where do we have the Packers finishing We have them finishing at first place. What is their record?
12-4.
11-5.
I have them going 10-6.
12-4, 5-1 in the division.
I have them going 10-6.
Yeah,
Wow.
another weak division.
Yeah,
Division.
Very weak
Yeah.
division, but pretty easy to predict.
It's an open division, but it's pretty easy to predict that the Packers are going to win it, despite them not helping Aaron Rodgers at all once again.
All right, can we move on to the interesting divisions, please? Thank you.
Okay, NFC West.
Oh, my favorite division to talk about.
NFC West. Who do we have
It's the
finishing in
Rams.
last place?
Rams
Yeah,
are in
the
last.
Yeah, that's the same.
It's tough for me to admit, given that the Rams were in the Super Bowl just 2 seasons ago, and they even went 9-7 last year. But
Ryan,
lost
please
a
don't
lot
say
of time.
Ryan, please don't say you have another team in last.
I do.
Tell us.
The Cardinals.
No.
They've gotten better. They've gotten
They've
better.
gotten better.
so much better in every way.
They've
They had a
gotten
good
better.
draft, good free agency.
They had a great draft, good free agency.
So why are they in last place?
I have the Cardinals in last place. I think that it's still going to be
What
a
do you have the
development
record
year.
as?
8-8.
In last? No way.
Wow.
Are you
Then I would love to hear the rest.
Wow. At 8-8, this division's going to be insane. Then wow.
I have the
I-
Rams at 5-11 in last.
Yeah, I have the Rams being 6-10. There's enough
Yep.
talent on the team to win some games, but there's too many holes on defense now.
Yeah, I'm with Dom. 6-10 for me.
I have the Cardinals at 8-8.
All right, let's keep going. Who do you have in third, Ryan?
I have the Rams
With
9-7.
I mean, it's
I
not
don't think
completely
that's too
terrible
far off.
because based on the fact that they did it last year, by that alone, it's not completely terrible. But it just seems like they're moving in the wrong direction, and the
they've
Cardinals.
gotten
Are,
so much worse.
I think
Cardinals are on the
their
rise.
secondary is still pretty good when you got Jalen Ramsey, John Johnson, and Taylor Rapp, who was really good last year as a rookie.
And
Then you've got
the
Aaron
secondary is
Donald.
good. The linebackers are so bad.
You've still got
Oh, yeah.
Ebukam,
So
and
bad.
they still got Ebukam and signed Leonard Floyd. I think that'll be something.
Ryan,
They haven't done those. Both those guys haven't done anything.
Ryan, just between you and me, real quick. This
Okay.
is just for radio, right? Like this is just for the viewership.
No,
Just
I
make-
sincerely believe this.
Oh,
Wow.
Dang,
I hope you're right because that would make watching the season so much more enjoyable.
Oh yeah, it'd be
I
hilarious.
think the Rams are going to be 9-7 again. That's just me. But
I
let's move
I
on.
hope you're right.
Let's move on. Who do you guys have in second place?
Arizona.
Oh, third place. I have Arizona. We didn't talk about third.
Oh,
I have,
yeah,
my
I
bad.
have Arizona
My
in
bad.
third place.
That's
My
how
bad.
I. That's how I
What are your
interpret
guys'
it.
record for Arizona in third place? My bad.
12-4.
12-4 in
Wait.
third. That's
What?
insane.
Wait, I thought that his was crazy.
Yeah,
Hold on, what?
I know. I get pretty outlandish here. I went through every
Oh
single
my.
game of this season multiple times and checked. I have them going 12-4, making playoffs as the 7th seed.
A 7 seed at 12.
That's 7. Wow, man.
What?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I do know who is I do know who his 5 seed is, and obviously I know who the 6 seed is or the other two. Okay. I mean, I can
Okay.
see that.
All right.
Okay,
I have them going 8-8.
That's fine. That's good.
let's move on. Who do we have in second place?
Seahawks.
Seahawks.
Yep. The Birds.
I have the Niners.
No, well, that's not horrible. That's not horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Niners.
it's going to
I-
be very tight.
I think it's a very close division. I have the Niners going 10-6 and still making playoffs.
Yeah, that's a toss-up
Yeah.
right
Yeah.
there.
I mean, with the opt-outs and the injury to Debo, which they have to be very careful with, by the way, that's fine. That's fine.
Where do you guys see the Seahawks finishing this year, record-wise?
I have them in second, 13-3, 4-2 in the division.
I've got them going 10-6.
This is the bizarre thing about going game by game is sometimes you just end up with these
Oh yeah.
whack,
No, I
whack
totally
Yeah.
get it. Yeah.
That's what I was telling you as you're doing it. I think the Seahawks will be 11-5.
Okay. I have them 13-3.
Okay. I have the Seahawks in first. You guys have the 49ers. Let's go you guys first. What do you guys see the 49ers record at the end of the regular season?
13-3.
They have some challenges ahead, like I mentioned right there, but I have them going 12-4 with those.
They're going to be 11-5 as well with the Seahawks, but I think they're better than the Seahawks. And they'll take them there.
I have the Seahawks in first, finishing 11-5 on the year.
Yeah,
Like
the
I
top
said,
two
it's
teams.
just
You got a
it's super
clustered
close.
division. That's insane.
Oh yeah, it's very clustered. I think this is one of the most competitive divisions.
I think it's absolutely one of the most competitive divisions. There's
Yeah,
two
so
It's
super
I agree.
competitive
That's-
divisions.
Yeah.
And
yeah. Okay, let's move on to the final NFC division, and that's the South. Who do we have in last place? I think we're all going to agree with this one.
I don't know. Let's hear it.
Carolina.
Carolina.
Yes, Carolina.
I have Atlanta.
What?
No.
I have Atlanta at
No.
4-12, Carolina at 5-11.
Atlanta
Well,
at 4-12?
I do have the Panthers at 5-11, so we agree
Yeah.
on
Yes,
that.
I
Just
can't
not
see
where
that.
they-
I have the Panthers at 5-11.
I have
Yeah.
them at 3-13. I think they're going to be arguably one of the worst teams in the NFC.
But
think
I
with
feel Christian
Carolina
McCaffrey can
is
pull him
that
through a couple games.
their
DJ Moore.
No,
defense
but he was
is so
one
young.
of the best Christian McCaffrey was one of the best players in the NFL last year, especially on the offensive side, and their offense was just terrible. Now they have
Remember,
they
had-
Bridgewater at quarterback.
They had
They had Kyle Allen last year. That's better
Kyle
than Kyle
Allen.
Allen.
It's not that
Will
much
Grier.
better. He's not that much better. Yeah, Will Greer was.
he's better. He's better.
I think
He's not that much better.
I think
I-
Teddy will provide stability and better
I do too.
quarterback play overall. So I think that there will be a bad team. It's just a matter of how bad. I feel like 5-11 seems pretty solid.
Anyways, can we go back to me having Atlanta at 4-12?
Yeah, you need to
I just-
explain that.
I just don't see them winning a lot of their matchups.
They're
I mean,
just they're a very
What is that?
disappointing team.
Right. They
disappoint.
always disappoint. Always, always. I mean, week 16, they play Kansas City. That's a loss. They play Tampa Bay week 15. That's a loss. They play New Orleans week 13. That's a loss. I mean, they have to play not Atlanta. They have to play Tampa Bay and New Orleans twice a year each. That's 4 losses right there. I mean, and then who else do they play? Let's see. They play Dallas, Seattle, Green Bay, Denver. I mean, there's no way.
That is a tough schedule. I don't know where
It's
it ranks,
tough.
but
It's tough, but you're talking about one of the most talented teams in the NFL here, especially
They've
on the
got-
offensive side.
Yeah, they've got a
And on
really
defense,
talented
they have playmakers on defense. It's
They just
similar
got
to the
Dante
Rams.
Fowler, Deion
Yeah.
Jones.
yeah.
The thing with me
It's-
with Carolina is that their defense is so young because they spent every single draft pick on defense.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're going to be really good in a couple of years.
Yeah.
It's like Matt Rule, because Matt Rule was a college coach at Baylor. It's like he's recruiting, and these are all
Yeah.
freshmen coming in, and he's just waiting for them to become juniors and seniors, and they're going to be really good.
I think they have a very bright future, especially on the defensive side of the ball with all that young talent.
Yeah, Derek
So-
Brown's going to be a monster up front.
Oh, I think he is. I have the Panthers going 5-11. Dom, where do you have the Panthers finishing in last?
He just-
So 3-13 or 4-12.
Okay. Moving on, third place. Pat, where
Falcons.
you have the Panthers.
Yeah,
Falcons.
5-11.
I have the Falcons. Where do you have the Panthers finishing? I can't remember what you said, Pat.
5-11.
5-11. Parker, where do you have the Falcons finishing?
6-10.
Dom.
I have them at 7-9.
You guys only gave him a couple more wins than me. What do you? what do
You
mean
guys are
I'm
gonna
super
go at me
outlandish?
for this one. I have them finishing 8-8.
I mean, I had them
Well,
going 7-9.
The
Like,
thing is,
I think that offense is just really good. That's a really good offense.
that's the problem because I learned from last year. They had so much talent, and every time I would pick them in our pick'ems, they would always disappoint every
Yeah.
single time. So
That's fair.
I'm just gonna
And
be there 6-10.
they
Okay.
finished the season strong. They ended up going 7-9 on the year.
yeah.
And they could carry some of that momentum over. They've got a young offensive line, and if they figured it out at the end of last year, and if they continue that this year, they're going to win ball games.
Here's my thing. With the Falcons, Dan Quinn saved his job at the end of last year, especially with that huge win over the 49ers. So I expect, like you just said, Dom, with that momentum, I expect that to carry over and get them a 500 record. Let's move on. Second place. Do we all have the Buccaneers in second, Saints in first?
Yes,
Yep.
I do. It's so close.
it is.
Okay.
I have both teams 5-1 in the division. I have the Saints at 15-1 this year. I
Wow,
have the
that's
Saints
a
at
tall
15.
task.
I have Saints at 15-1. Tampa Bay at 14-2.
Last time
See-
a team.
It's crazy because you can do this because these teams are playing on the road and they're not having to deal with home crowd. Now, in a normal year, you're like, Pat, you're an idiot, and you still are. But your projections aren't totally unreasonable this year. Do I think they'll pan out? No, but they're not unreasonable because they're not playing on the road in front of 70,000 yelling fans.
Right. But when I started making this, I was like, oh, week 1, Tampa Bay playing in New Orleans in the Dome. I don't know. But like, it doesn't mean
But there's
anything.
not going to be anyone there.
It's
Okay.
just a field.
Okay, you have the Buccaneers at 14-2. Parker, where do you have them finishing?
Second place with a 10-6 record.
What about you, Dom?
11-5 wild card team.
Okay,
Buccaneers?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Parker, I agree with you. Second place, 10-6. Okay, everyone has the Saints. We know Pat has the Saints at 15-1. Parker, where do you have them?
Wait, can I justify that really quick? Just really quick. So week 1, I have them beating the Buccaneers because the Buccaneers still have to learn how to play together as a team. And then after that, I have them beating the Bucs another time, and then every other time, or I have the Bucs beating them once, and that's their only loss I have.
But I mean, having both teams go 14-1 over the last 15 weeks is insane.
Yeah, but we'll see.
It's-
It's a
they're
crazy
both-
Hold on,
season.
Pat.
They're good
Pat,
teams.
Pat, I'm going to ask you a question. Who do you have the Buccaneers' second loss to?
The Buccaneers' 2 losses are to I don't want to say
The
it.
Saints. The Saints.
Upset
Then the
alert!
Chiefs,
Upset
Saints.
alert!
I don't want to say who they lose to.
It's
Or
the Chiefs, isn't it?
It's the
never
Chiefs.
mind.
And I don't want to give them the satisfaction.
Yes, sir.
I thought
Yeah.
thought there was gonna be like some crazy pick that would make us go insane.
No.
You just
Nope.
didn't want to give me the joy.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay,
Yeah.
Parker.
I have them losing to the Giants week 8. No, I'm kidding.
Okay, so I have the Saints finishing at 12-4 and winning the division.
I have them going 13-3.
Dom?
Saints 12-4.
Okay. So that is going to conclude our NFC side. Let's get into the AFC, and we're going to start in the East. Who do we have in fourth place?
This is gonna be fun. It's not fun yet. I have the Jets in 4th place.
Jets. Jets. What's their
Oh, yeah.
record?
I have them going 6-10. I think that the opt out of CJ Mosley and them trading Jamal Adams extremely hurt. I thought they were a playoff team, if I'm being honest with those two guys, but without them, they're a last place team. That's how good those two players are.
Okay, Pat, what do you have for the Jets record?
4th place, I have the Jets 3-13.
Oh,
Okay.
no way.
Parker?
Fourth place is the Dolphins with a 4-12 record.
Wow.
Okay.
Oh, wait till you hear
Wow.
Dom's spot for the Dolphins.
I have
Wow.
the Jets in last place going 4-12.
Wow, you guys are extremely low on those teams.
Yeah, because the
Is it-
Jets suck.
The Jets went
Sam
7-6 last year with Sam Darnold. They went
Sam
7-6
Darnold
last year with
lost
Sam
his
Darnold.
top weapon in Robbie Anderson. He's gone. And they replaced him with Brashad Perriman, which
And
is
Denzel Mims.
Yeah, Denzel Mims. They'll be fine. They'll be 6-10. They'll finish in last. But
Okay.
I think, and then Parker 4-12. The Dolphins.
Yeah,
the
I mean,
Dolphins. No way. I think that's absurd. Honestly,
No,
if I'm going to
they're-
be completely honest with you, they
they're a
finished the
team-
season 5-4, and they added so many players this offseason.
yeah, but see, I'm just not buying it because the quarterback play is not going to be steady, and
What about
that's
that
a huge
defense?
issue. That
The
defense,
is going to be good.
I don't see it
I'm
playing
not
out
sold
that
on
way.
it. I don't think
I'm
they'll
not.
be bad. I'm just not sold on them.
okay.
Yeah, I like
So
it.
let's
I like
move on to
Xavier
third
Howard,
place.
but
Parker, do you have the Jets in third place?
I do 6-10
What's-
record.
Okay. Where do you have? Okay, Pat, do you have the Dolphins in third? I assume.
I do.
Dom, do you have the Dolphins in third?
I don't.
Do you have the Patriots in third?
I have the New England Patriots in 3rd place.
Oh
I
my
do.
God!
my
Oh my
I
God!
do. Pat's gonna
No
come here and murder me.
way.
And my door doesn't lock. And my door doesn't lock.
Lock the door! Lock the door!
It doesn't. It doesn't lock. It doesn't lock, Pat.
Oh my lord!
Here's why. Here's why. There's too big of a question mark at too many positions.
Wow.
At quarterback, Cam Newton, we don't know if he's going to be healthy. If he's healthy, this team could definitely be a playoff team. I'm not going to bank on it, though. In his last 8 games, he's 0-8, and that was with a somewhat talented Carolina team.
Yeah.
Too many players opted
this is
out.
tough.
Kyle Van Noy's a Dolphin.
Dante Hightower's gone. He
Once-
opted out.
Once they finally played some real teams in the second half of the season last year, they struggled. I think this team's going to get 3rd place. I think they'll be 8-8.
We'll get to that in a second. Pat, what do you have for the Dolphins record?
5 and
At
11.
third. Okay, I have the Dolphins going
No
6 and 10.
way. No
I have the
way.
Dolphins going 6 and 10.
No way.
Well, you
Oh.
act like they're the Joe Montana 49ers. Like they're the Dolphins, dude.
This is like this. You know what this is? This is the Redskins from last year, but this time around.
No, but
Reuben
this
Foster,
team-
man. Reuben
Okay.
Foster.
Okay, yeah, that was bad. But this team actually, they finished the season 5-4. They added several players in the offseason, Kyle Van Noy, Byron Jones, and they had a pretty solid draft class. And I think that if Fitzpatrick can play well like he did in the second half of the year, and if not, guess what? Guess who they got? They got Tua. I think this team is a borderline
You're putting
playoff
your
team.
faith in a bum hip from Alabama.
Dude.
I
I know you don't watch as much college football as me, but Tua's so
really good.
I
Tua,
also
his accuracy is off the charts.
He was
I
playing
should,
on 1 foot and lost to LSU by 7.
Yeah, he's insane. He's
I
insane.
should
The Dolphins will be a good team this year.
Okay,
let me
second
clarify something.
place. Second place.
Let me
No,
just
hold on, wait.
real quick. Okay,
Parker.
so I addressed them as the Redskins. At the time they were, but now Washington football, my mistake.
Yes, you were. No, you were right. It's fine. You get a pass. You don't have to drink. Ryan and I each owe a drink at the end of this.
Deal.
Yeah, of course you said deal. Let's talk about second place here in the East.
Second place.
Patriots.
Patriots.
And
Pat,
this one,
Pat, let's hear it.
In second place, I have the Buffalo Bills.
No! No!
See, okay,
No!
okay.
That's awful.
In his defense, I will say, pre-opt out, I also did, but the opt outs were just too much for me.
No.
Yeah.
Oh.
The opt outs just it took a
Even
toll.
with the opt-outs, we still arguably have one of the best defenses in the NFL.
No, you don't.
Pain!
Yes, we do. Are you kidding me?
You have the best corner in the league. I'm not
Yes.
doubting that.
The best corner. We have Jason McCourty. We have Devin
Yeah,
McCourty.
great defense. Great
Okay.
defense.
It's a
Okay.
great secondary. What are
You
you
guys let
saying?
go of
Yeah, but when you're losing, the secondary doesn't matter because teams are just gonna run all over you.
Okay, so
I-
we have who? We have Jawan Bentley.
Who?
Yeah.
Who?
Jawan Bentley is good, dude. Come on.
I
Okay,
don't know who that is,
Pat,
but
I'm sorry,
on-
but no.
I bet
Let's do
so
a
much-
right-
Because they ain't us.
Okay.
Hey,
Bill
If-
Belichick is
listen.
still our coach, and he's one of the greatest defensive minds in NFL history.
Okay.
he's
Pat,
first
what
off,
is
he's
the
the
Bills'
greatest.
record in
He's
second
the
place?
greatest.
What is
He's
the
the
Bills'
greatest.
record in second place?
10-6.
Parker, up, go.
I have the Patriots at 10-6, and like I said, had there not been so many opt outs, I would have also had them winning it because that's how much faith I have in Bill Belichick.
Dom, go.
I have the Dolphins at 9-7.
I have the Patriots in second place at 8-8.
You're delusional. If you don't think we're gonna have an above 500 record,
You're delusional. You're delusional.
delusional. You're the delusional one.
This has
Dude,
been fun.
Pat, I'll listen. We don't promote. Hey, first off, we do not promote gambling on the 4-3
Pat,
show.
I will bet you.
I will bet $20 that the Bills win this division.
All right, shake on it right here.
Hey, yes. Here, I'll come over to your camera.
Yeah.
Come over to
Pat,
your
can I
camera.
agree to an additional 20 on that?
Yeah, I'll shake on that. I'll be $40 in the hole.
Ryan
Let's
would
do
want
it.
to join that, wouldn't he?
Yeah, Bills win this division.
Of course, so typical.
Okay.
Think the Buffalo Bills have the capacity, the mental capacity to win
They
anything
have
ever.
a terrific defense.
And
I
a
don't
decent
care what
offense.
they have.
A decent
They have a decent
offense too.
offense.
They have a legit shot to win the AFC this year.
Okay, don't get too crazy now.
I'm telling you, man, they have a legit
I'm
shot.
messing with you. They have a shot. Okay, let's
Okay.
go to first place. Pat, just tell us where are the Patriots
I
ending
don't have
up
them
this
like
year?
at 14-2 or anything. I have them at 11-5, but I still have them winning the division.
Okay, Parker, go. Parker, go.
Obviously, that leaves the Bills. I have them winning the division with an 11-5 record.
Okay,
Okay, so I only have them with one more
Dom.
loss than you. I don't see what the big deal is.
Dom, go.
12-4 Buffalo Bills, AFC East champions. Lock it.
AFC
Lock
East
it.
champions are the Buffalo Bills with an 11-5 record, and the Patriots' 11-year streak is snapped this year.
Do you still think we'll make playoffs? Do you have us making playoffs? No?
No.
I do.
Even with a
Obviously.
20-year streak and Bill Belichick as our coach?
No.
I mean,
You're
I
gonna
think
get mad at me. You're gonna get mad at me when I tell you my playoff picks over the Patriots, but that's in a little bit. Let's move on to the AFC North. Who is getting last place?
Bengals.
Cincy.
Bengals.
There's no discussion
What's their
here.
record?
I have Cleveland.
And last,
Yeah.
What?
I have Cincy much higher than you guys do.
Oh my God!
Okay. All right. I'll play devil's advocate for entertainment purposes. I will say with the Bengals, although newsflash, I have them going 4-12. I will say with them and Joe Burrow and his success early on as a quarterback, I think that the weapons that he has coming into the league, being the first overall pick, is nowhere near as bad as some quarterbacks have had to deal with. But still, having said that, no shot.
I got the Cleveland Steamers. I mean Cleveland Browns last place at 5-11.
OBJ. No, but listen, I think the Bengals will be better than a lot of people give them credit for. 4-12, 5-15. They've got a somewhat talented offense. Their offensive line got a lot of slack last year. They're getting Jonah Williams back because he didn't play all last year. He'll help out with Joe Burrow. But there's the Browns going 4-12. Is that what you had at? You're on mute.
5-11.
I have the Bengals.
They're way too talented.
Okay.
Yeah, everybody
Dom,
said that
where do you have
last
the
year. and
Bengals?
they
Dom, where do you have the
blew.
Bengals?
I said I have the Bengals 4-12, 5-15.
Okay.
5-11. 5-11.
right.
Sorry.
I have the Bengals going 5-11. I think they made some terrific moves in free agency, adding DJ Reader on the front line with Carlos Dunlap and Geno Atkins, then adding Trey Waynes, Von Bell. They've done a lot of good moves. They made some good moves. But I think that Burrow is just going to need 1 year to develop, and then you could see them move up. Third place. Pat, do you have the Bengals?
I don't. I have
Okay.
the Pittsburgh Steelers in third place.
Oh, no.
No, that's poor.
I had the
Steelers in third place too.
Thank you.
It's
I had
Oh,
them
just-
no.
I had them much, much worse. And then I went through it again. I was like, this isn't right. They were like 2-14 for me. So I went through and I fixed that. They're 6-10 now. I have them 6-10, 2-4 in their division.
Dom, go ahead.
I have the Steelers going 7-9. I think that their defense significantly overperformed their talent last year. You saw T.J. Watt, Minka Fitzpatrick, even Cam Hayward, all those guys just have career years. And their offense is going to be a little bit better than what it was last year. So that'll make up for the fact. And I think with the Browns being a little bit better than they were last year, I see the Steelers going 7-9.
Parker, who do you have in third place?
I have the Steelers, and originally, like a week or so ago, I had them 7-9. I bumped it up to 8-8 after a couple changes throughout the league because obviously you have to take into account for every win. There's another loss to give to another team. So I have them at 500. They're a team with a very good defense. That offense with Big Ben is in question. I don't think people should be so happy for Big Ben to be back. Obviously, it's great to see him recover from an injury and be on the field. But as far as a production standpoint, he's 38 years old. Coming off of Tommy John surgery, that's asking for a lot.
Okay, I have the Browns in third place at 8-8. Let's move on to second place. Pat, start it off.
So in second place, I have the Cincinnati Bengals at 6-10. Same record as the Steelers, but I have them 3-3 in the division and not 2-4. So I have them taking second place. And I also have them beating the Baltimore Ravens in week 17.
Okay, that answers my question.
Right, because the Baltimore Ravens are going to be resting all of their starters come week 17. They won't need it. I have one of two of Baltimore's losses coming to the Cincinnati Bengals.
Okay, as soon as you said the record, I was going to actually ask you, do you have the Baltimore Ravens, in fact, going undefeated? But that answered my question.
No.
Okay, Dom, second place.
Browns, I think they'll go 10-6.
Okay, Parker,
I think
second
that
place.
with let me justify it. I think that with Freddie Kitchens gone, everyone basically knew it was going to be a train wreck last year. They looked into the situation, and it was. And they also improved the offensive line. Last year, watching Baker Mayfield just run around like a lost dog it was hard to watch. They drafted offensive linemen, went out and got some in free agency. I think they're an improved team. I think the Ravens are too good, though.
Yeah,
Parker?
that's, again, not too far off from me. I originally had the Browns going 10-6 with second place in the division. Ultimately, when I gave the Steelers that extra game, I had to take one, and that was from the Browns. So I have them going 9-7 and being a playoff team.
Okay, in second place, I have the Steelers going 10-6.
Come on.
I
Come on
think,
now.
okay, let me justify. This defense is really good. I think TJ Watt is one of the best pass rushers in the league. I really like Mika Fitzpatrick. They still got Devin Bush. I really like their defense.
Yeah, their defense is good, but I still think you're overrating the ever-loving heck out of them.
No, I think that Mike Tomlin first off should have gotten coach of the year last year. That's a whole different argument.
I think
Hold
Mike
on.
Tomlin should not be coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I don't think he should have a job in the NFL.
Okay, that's a later discussion. But I think Big Ben coming back, I know there's nerves about his arm. They still managed to not be the worst team in that division with Duck Hodges and Mason Rudolph as their quarterbacks.
Yeah,
Well,
that's a testament to the defense. Like
And
you
I
said,
think that defense is still going to play that well this year.
that they will not play that
No,
well.
it just shows that the top defenses every single year have significantly come down. Shout out Theo Ash for teaching me that. I never realized that. It's just there's no way their defense performs to how it does last year.
But no, if we're talking about this, let's talk about it right now, Ryan. I mean, what has Mike Tomlin done with the offenses and in the teams he's had in the past 5-6 years? What has he done? He's done nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Okay.
He had at one point a roster of Antonio Brown, Juju Smith-Schuster, Ben Roethlisberger, Le'Veon Bell on offense. And what did he do with them? Nothing.
Hold on.
Absolutely
I'm
nothing.
arguing just last year he should have gotten coach of the year because he led them to 8-8 without Ben Roethlisberger and with a quarterback with the name of Duck Hodges.
Hey, let me just intervene. No, that Steelers team was loaded, but Blake Bortles had other plans.
That's true. That's facts.
I'm arguing just for last year. But
You can't take a team like that goes 8-8 and say, hey, here's a coach of the year for your god-awful team.
I disagree, but I respect your opinion. I'll just go with
What
that.
what the heck kind of radio is that? We're supposed to fight here.
Okay, if you want to fight, I'll continue, but we are almost.
I
an hour
don't
and a half
care
in
if
and
we're
we have so much
overtime.
work to
I
do.
don't care if we're overtime. Tell me. Justify your reasoning.
Okay, look at the facts. They had James Conner, who was hurt most of the year last year. Juju was on and off the field. You saw Duck Hodges and Mason Rudolph as their quarterbacks. Sorry, and yet they still got to 8-8. That's a testament to Mike Tomlin as a coach.
So I'm gonna ask you. I'm gonna
Okay.
give you another scenario right here. The Patriots last year. Do you think that they made it to the playoffs because of their offense?
No, their defense.
Yeah. So it's the same thing with the Steelers. The Steelers only made it as far as they did because of their defense.
Okay, come on.
Their offense was bad. It was really, really bad.
I'm not arguing that.
All right. Here's one thing that I will say. I feel like for regular season purposes, offenses win you the most games in a regular season. Once the playoffs roll around, I'd rather rock with a good defense. It's been proven to not be the case. Last year was a good example with the Chiefs winning Super Bowl.
Hey, but here's the thing. A top 20 defense still gets you a Super Bowl win.
Hey, shut up.
It typically doesn't, is my point.
All right, we can move on.
Okay, let's move on. Now, we all have the Ravens getting first in the North. What is their record?
I have them going 13-3. They did actually get better, in my opinion. They improved their
They did.
roster somehow. The only way I look at it, though, is it's hard for me to say they're going to go 14-2 again or even better because naturally teams are going to digress a little bit because that was a season where Lamar Jackson won MVP, and it took a lot of things going very well for that to happen.
Pat, what do you have for their record? Dom, sorry.
Sorry. No, Dom, go ahead.
12-4.
Okay. Pat,
14-2.
I have the Ravens at 12-4 as well. I think Lamar is going to regress a little bit. I think that so many things went well for him last year that he won't have as great of a year.
I think last
So-
year was just the beginning. I think he's gonna come out swinging this year.
So
I feel
this
so
year,
good.
okay, I need to see more from his arm.
Well, you know what? The reason why, and also this is just like half a superstition thing. The past 3 quarterbacks to win MVP have won the Super Bowl the next year. So I know that literally means nothing in the world of football, but hey, I'd like to see it happen. I think Lamar's only going to get better from here.
Okay. Now
You
with
just
that,
pissed him off so much. He's like, "Oh my god, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I didn't know that."
I actually did know that. I actually did, but I'm not
Yeah,
going to
but
fret
does-
about
You
it.
know why I knew that? You know why I knew that? Because Patrick Mahomes won MVP because he threw 50 touchdowns
Hey.
in 2018.
He also became the youngest
Hey.
player ever to win
Hey.
a regular season MVP and Super Bowl MVP. So
If
zip
we're,
it,
uh,
Pat.
If we're gonna bring up factoids,
Uh-oh.
the last 2 MVPs came as second-year quarterbacks. Drew Lock for MVP, folks.
Oh God.
I'm joking.
Okay.
I'm joking. Of course, we'll get to the MVP picks, but I
Okay.
figured I'd throw it out
We're
there.
going to move on to the AFC South. Where do we see the AFC South shaking up to be this year? 4th place.
Jags. We're all gonna go.
Jags.
We're all
Jags.
gonna go there.
What's their record?
2 and
1 and
14.
2-14.
I'm giving them 3 and 13.
Wow, how generous of you.
Hey, that's generous compared to you guys.
I'm
I-
sure
it-
their
Third place.
fans will be thrilled.
Texans.
I have the Titans.
Whoa!
What?
Yep.
Oh no!
This is my one.
Actually,
This is
I
this
think
is
I
my
know where your
one
head's at.
really hot take. I think that you saw Derrick Henry and Ryan Tannehill playing at the highest level that they'll ever play at. I think that Ryan Tannehill coming off of a contract year, I don't think he's going to play as well and be as efficient. And I think that's going to be in part the fact that Derrick Henry has been so beat up over the past couple of years, just running and running and running. And you saw in the AFC Championship game, Ryan, you remember vividly, he got beat up. And at a certain point, the legs just give out, the body gives out. And I think that you're not going to see as good of offensive production from him this year because I've said several times, running backs don't matter. I don't see them being as good this year on the offensive side. On defense, they'll still be good.
What
They're-
do you
they're
have
still-
the record as?
I have them going 9-7. They're still going to be a good team.
Okay. Parker, who do you have in 3rd place? I didn't hear you.
I have the Texans going 7 and 9.
Okay, Pat, what do you have the Texans going?
Texans 8 and 8.
That's what I have. Texans 8 and 8.
Yeah, we all see these teams are good.
Yeah. Okay. 2nd place.
I have the Texans.
Colts.
Parker.
Texans.
It's the Titans for me. This is such a tough division.
I have
The
the
It
Colts.
really is.
South, the AFC South is the most unpredictable division. I feel like
I have the
comparing,
Colts.
like
Okay.
it's so hard to make these.
Okay.
So Thursday night football division.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. What do you got? Where do you have the Dom record? Go.
10-6.
Pat.
10 and 6. Colts.
I have the Titans going 8 and 8.
In 2nd place in that division, I have the Colts going 9 and 7.
Yeah.
And then in 1st place, I have the Titans. Pat.
Titans.
Parker.
Colts.
Dom.
I have the Colts. Give Phillip Rivers an O-line and he'll go 11-5. I promise you.
Okay, you got them going 11 and 5. Parker. Colts
I've
record.
got them going 10-6, but I the same thought process because the way that I look at it, well, first off, I'll kind of start with the Texans just to justify it since they were a playoff team last year. Every year we're going to see playoff teams from the previous year miss it the next year. That's one of them. Same goes for the Titans. They play at a very high level. It's going to be hard to replicate because originally going into this, I was favoring the Titans over the Colts. But I think when I started to look at it a little bit deeper, realizing what Phillip Rivers has in front of him, I think that they're the team that's ultimately going to come ahead in what will be a very close race.
Pat. Titans record.
I have the Titans going 10 and 6.
I do as
But
well.
they're 5 and 1 in the division, so that's why they beat the Colts, who are 4 and 2.
Yeah. Okay. I have the Titans going 10 and 6. Now the final division, the AFC West. Who do we have in 4th place?
Kansas City Chiefs.
Funny.
I've got the Chargers.
I do too.
The Los Angeles Chargers will finish in last place again.
I have the
I've been going
Chargers
6
in last.
and 10.
I have
5
them
and
going
11
6 and
for
10.
me.
Dom,
5-11 for me. 5-11.
I got them at 6 and 10. 3rd place.
Raiders.
Las Vegas.
The Raiders. I was close to moving them in front of Denver.
Yeah, that would have been
Von
fair.
Miller.
I wouldn't have had a big problem with that because I think that the Raiders are better than a lot of people. Some people in this show give them credit.
Hold on.
So
Okay,
It was a direct attack, Ryan. It was fair and obvious. You've already made it clear.
you don't give them
Okay.
the respect I feel like they've somewhat deserved. Let's put it that way. They're better
I
than you
think
give
I
them
can't give them respect. I can't give John Gruden respect there,
Like, I mean, I don't think he's that good of a coach either, but at the end of the day,
and I don't think Derek Carr's good.
Well, he's going to be in your division a long time, so get used to it.
Okay, what do you guys have the Raiders record as?
7-9. Yep.
8-8. They're going 500 this year.
I have them at 7-9. Second place.
Kansas
Denver.
City Chiefs.
I know
I
you're
wish.
joking.
I am kidding. I have the Denver Broncos.
Broncos.
Yeah.
I have the Broncos as well.
9-7.
9-7 as well. I'm going 10-6 with Vaughn.
Yeah.
Maybe even 11-5.
Yeah, that's the same exact thing for me. I thought that they could win 10 or more games this year. But at the
Yeah.
end of the day, I can't just simply keep that record because it's in my heart that they could do that, because at the end of the day, if you lose a guy like that, that hurts. That's going to take a toll on the team. So I think 9-7
Okay.
seems
But
fair.
Parker, remember,
I have
Parker is old take exposed for the Broncos making the playoffs this year.
I know, and
And-
that injury is so big. I literally
It's his
tweeted
pin.
that out.
It's
I have
Parker's
the-
pinned tweet.
I know.
Dude, you don't want. I mean, it could be good for your publicity and for the publicity
Honestly,
of the show.
The way
But
I look at it is it could be. Could be. I'm
I
almost.
have the Broncos
you know.
going 9-7. I had them going 10-6 before Vaughn got hurt, but they're 9-7. And we all know who's finishing in first place. Let's name the record.
I'm not telling you the record. I'm not. As a matter
Tell
of
me the
fact,
record,
I'm making
Pat.
it worse right now, so the Broncos come in first in the division.
Okay, Pat.
Just because of that cocky comment of yours. We all know who's winning the division.
This is
Okay,
what this
Parker-
show needs.
Parker,
The
the record.
good old Ryan impressions. I love it.
it's
I have
13-3.
I have
Parker.
them 12-4.
Pat.
13-3.
I have the Chiefs going 13-3.
You don't have them going 16-0 this year.
I never have the Chiefs going 16-0.
Yeah, but every single week we did pick them. You picked them last year.
No, I did not.
Yeah.
No, I did not.
You 100%.
No, I did not.
I remember because Ryan, who kept track of all the scores?
I picked
did.
them to lose
Yeah.
to Tennessee.
That's no, you didn't.
I don't believe
You
it.
know-
No, I didn't, because Mahomes was returning. Never mind. Okay.
Yeah, no, you had
Moving
them
on.
every single week.
Moving on. Enough. Okay. Now let's get into the playoff seedings. We're going to start off in the NFC. Who do you guys have as the 7 seed?
Hey, can we just go in order? Like,
Yeah, like just say
We're
1 through
not-
7.
A little
Yeah.
rapid fire.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right.
In the NFC?
Yeah.
All right, I'll start. At 1, I have the Saints. At 2, I have San Francisco. At 3, I have Dallas. At 4, I have the Packers. At 5, I have Tampa Bay. At 6, I have Seattle. At 7, I have Arizona.
I have
Almost
the
identical.
exact same thing. I have the exact same
Do
thing.
you?
That was
Yeah.
almost identical. The only difference is all are the same except for that 7 seed, and I'm giving that to the Eagles.
Interesting.
Okay, for me, 1 Saints, 2 Seahawks, 3 Cowboys, 4 Packers, 5 Buccaneers, 6 49ers, and 7 Vikings.
Okay, so we were all pretty close.
Yeah.
But except the Vikings, which
Yeah.
that's not a horrible pick. If they play to their ceiling, that's not a bad pick.
Let's move on to the AFC. Pat,
All right.
start off.
1, I have the Ravens. 2, I have the Chiefs. 3, I have New England. 4, I have Tennessee. 5, I have. Where's my 5? Oh, 5, I have Buffalo. 6, I have Indianapolis. 7, I have Denver.
For my 1, I got the Chiefs. 2 is the Ravens. 3 is the Bills. 4 Colts. 5 Browns. 6 Texans. And 7, I have the Denver Broncos.
For me, I like how these are all different. That makes it more interesting. I have at 1 the Ravens, 2 the Chiefs, 3 the Bills, 4 the Colts, 5 the Patriots, 6 the Browns, and 7 the Broncos. The Broncos were at 5, but of course with Vaughn, they dropped to 7.
Okay, for me, I have the Chiefs at 1, Ravens at 2, Bills at 3, Titans at 4, Steelers at 5, Colts at 6, and Broncos at 7.
Oh, the Steelers at 5 is.
How about them
Cool.
Steelers?
I think the Steelers are going to be good this year.
I'm not going to put money on it because I'm not as sure as I am with the other one, but
Oh, you want to lose another one like last year, top 20 defense?
I don't, Ryan.
You want to make that bet again this year?
I mean, I'm a little more tempted to this year because I think your defense will take just a bit of a step back.
You know they finished. Okay, I'll do it.
I know they finished. I said I'm not.
Ryan, you've already placed one bet on this show. Don't place another. You always lose. Always.
No,
And this time it's
He
documented.
beat me. He beat me. Don't. I said it, Ryan.
I won last year. Chiefs were top 20 defense.
I won it. I said that you won, Ryan.
All right, let's move
Stop
on.
begging
Because
me about
it's
it.
an hour and 35 minutes. Is that what we're
Okay.
at?
Okay. Early Super Bowl picks. Who do you guys have?
I have the Ravens over the Buccaneers.
Yeah, when Pat was telling me his picks, I'm like, I have the exact same thing. Ravens over the Bucks.
I have Ravens over Saints. Let me
Tell
take
us
a
about
wild
the
guess.
Chiefs. Tell us
Let
about
me
the
take a
Chiefs.
wild guess, Ryan. What's yours by chance?
Chiefs over the Saints.
Wow, NFC South party. Wow, that's pretty incredible.
I hear Pat screaming
you
through Dom's mic.
Why?
What do you mean? Why? The Chiefs are a great
I
team.
know they're good, but like everything is Chiefs. There's
Not true at all.
who's winning MVP?
Hold on. Can I explain my
Who's winning
Chiefs pick real
MVP?
quick? Let me
your
explain the
MVP
Chiefs
pick?
pick. Can I explain my Chiefs pick?
If you tell me
I'm
who
gonna
your
explain
MVP pick is.
After, because that's next. I will tell you. Let me explain my pick. The Chiefs are returning 20 of 22 Super Bowl starters, first off. Second off, they've got the best quarterback in the league, Patrick Mahomes, a new running back who's the franchise running back to be in Hilaire.
Remember how
They've
much
got
you hated
Tyreek
that
Hill.
pick?
They've
It
got
reminds you.
Mecole Hardman, who's going to take a leap up this year. They still got Sammy Watkins. They've got the league's best tight end in Travis Kelce. They have a great
Arguably.
Gronk
tandem.
is back in the league. Gronk is
Hey.
back in the league. It's a
Shout
fact.
out.
Okay, enough of Gronk. No.
Hey,
shout out
Chiefs
to Ethan.
have
Shout out
the-
to Ethan Ryder for making that video possible so that I can reference that whenever I feel like it.
Yeah.
Okay. I was
Like
mad
going, that's the worst
because-
pick in Chiefs history.
No, the worst pick in Chiefs history. We can talk about that
Patrick
It's
later.
Eric Fisher.
It's actually not Eric Fisher.
Yeah, it's
Who is
Patrick
it?
It
Mahomes.
used to be. It was actually Breland Speaks, second round pick in 2018.
Okay.
Awful pick.
Anyways, who's
Okay.
your MVP pick, Ryan?
We'll get into that in a minute. So, and
It's
the Chiefs
it's literally
have-
right there at the door.
Chiefs have a solid defense, and they're still one of the league's best teams. Chiefs are going to
Yeah.
repeat. Okay,
Yeah, no, there's
now
nothing
let's
wrong
move
with
on.
picking them.
Let's
Wait,
move
let me
on.
just say something. Let me just say there's nothing wrong. Like literally, they won the Super Bowl last year, so there's
Yeah,
no
I thought
surprise
about
saying
picking
it. But at the same time, I told you this, Ryan, before. It's not very often that teams repeat.
oh, I know it's not.
Difficult to do.
I just
But
think
the
that's how
Chiefs are
special
built
the team
different, Parker. The Chiefs are built
That's how
different.
special the Chiefs are to me. I think that this team is that good.
All right, let's move on.
Let's get into award predictions. MVP. Pat, start it off.
So I had a hard time with this because I want to say Lamar Jackson is just going to ball out again, but a repeat MVP is so unheard of. So I think I want to give it to Christian McCaffrey this year.
Okay. Okay.
I will say
okay.
the thought process of repeating, it's very rare. Peyton Manning did it twice where he went back to back. Fun factoid. But it's very rare. So I think that that's fair to say. For me, it's Dak Prescott. He puts up the numbers to back it up. His numbers were very good last year. He got a CeeDee Lamb this year from the draft, one of the most electric receivers in all of college football, and what was one of the best receiving classes, at least as of right now. We don't know how these guys are going to pan out, of course, but he's got all the weapons with Gallup and Cooper. I expect Dallas to have one of the best offenses in the league, and he will have the numbers to back it up.
My MVP from right here in the Valley, Kyler Murray. I think with an improved offensive line and the addition of DeAndre Hopkins is just going to make that wide receiving core even more electric. Christian Kirk, Larry Fitzgerald, DeAndre Hopkins.
That's a great pick.
You're not going to find a lot of better wide receiving cores. There are some, there are a few, but you're not going to find a lot. I like Kyler Murray to win this year's MVP. He's so electric. It's incredible to watch.
I'm going to let you guys take a guess at who I'm picking.
Do I have to? I mean, I think we all know who our guess
It's
is.
not Mahomes.
Oh, Tyreek Hill.
Clyde
Edwards-Helaire.
Edwards-Helaire.
I have Russell Wilson.
Okay, that's a good.
That's
pick.
actually a pretty good
Okay.
pick.
I think
Nate?
Russell Wilson is the second best quarterback in the league, and I think that
Behind
Patrick Mahomes. Okay, there's no arguing. He's the best quarterback in the league. Okay,
What
But-
about Lamar Jackson?
third. So, as I wanted to continue saying, he's got a terrific duo at wide receiver. He's got Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. He's got newly signed Greg Olsen, still got Will Dissly, got Chris Carson out of the backfield. He's electric. He can just do incredible things with his legs. I think Russell Wilson is going to win MVP this year.
That's fair.
Now we're going to move on to Offensive Player of the Year. Who do you guys have? And we'll start it with Pat. If he didn't
I
walk
mean,
away.
I'm just
go
going
ahead.
to take my same guy. There's been way too many occurrences of the offensive player of the year just being MVP, so I'm going to take Kyler Murray.
For me, I mean, it would be tough to put up the numbers again to be able to back it up, but I think Christian McCaffrey, and the reason is, and I'm also not too high on running backs as far as what value they bring to a football team. But at the end of the day, we've seen what he's done with both the run and the passing game. He's a special talent, and the viewers or the voters will view it that way. So I think if he puts up another very good season with all the all-purpose yards that he does, I think that he'll definitely be a very worthy candidate again.
I have Christian McCaffrey as well. I think he's just insane. He set NFL history again, becoming the third running back for 1,000 and 1,000. He's been incredible. He is the best running back in the league, one of the most explosive players, offensive players in the entire league. I think it's going to be Christian McCaffrey.
What are we talking about? Offensive Player of the Year?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I want to. I don't know. Honestly, this year,
I mean, you chose McCaffrey as MVP.
I know
You
I
gotta
did.
pick him as offensive player of the year.
well, they don't always do that, though.
They don't always do it, but I feel like if you're going to pick a running back as MVP,
That's true.
it's
But-
super.
But I also think they could give it to like Lamar Jackson this year. Oh boy. If they don't want to give him MVP, I still think he has oh boy caliber playing.
So you have Lamar Jackson?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this was a tough one. I
Yeah,
almost
this
said
is-
Michael
it's
Thomas.
a tough one. Yeah. Moving on to Defensive Player of the Year. Who do we have?
Sack man, Aaron Donald. I think he's got a legit shot at breaking the NFL sack record this year. I've heard that he is stronger and faster in NFL camp than he has been in years previous to this, and he's led the league in sacks over the past couple of years for a reason. I think that he's going to absolutely go off once again. I think he's got a chance at breaking it, if I'm being completely honest.
Dom, good call. Parker?
I will jump right in. It sucks. For me, it was Von Miller. There was a lot of reasons to think that he had a chip on his shoulder this year after his numbers, as far as the stat sheet goes, didn't jump off the board like we're used to seeing. But since that's not going to be the case this year, I switched it to Chandler Jones. Obviously, Aaron Donald came to mind as well because I think he's the best defensive player in the league as of right now. It's just hard to win it a third time. So I think for that reason, a guy like Chandler Jones, who is extremely underrated, I mean, he consistently puts up good numbers and doesn't get nearly the recognition he deserves. I think that this could be a year, since people will be more focused on how exciting the Cardinals could potentially be with their young core on the offensive side. I think that that'll help his case on the defensive side.
Pat?
So I actually had another hard time with this one. I have two players that I think could absolutely win it. You guys can maybe help guide me to a decision here. I had J.J. Watt and I have Myles Garrett. I absolutely think Myles Garrett could break out this year. He's been great past 2 years. Granted, he got a pretty hefty suspension.
Here's the thing: is you said the Browns are going to be 4-12, right?
I said they're going to be 5-11.
Yeah, I don't think you can have an MVP on that team or a defensive player.
Sure, you can have a defensive player of the year on a bad team.
Also, I want to actually mention something. Did you guys see that Myles Garrett actually considered retiring after the whole Mason Rudolph incident?
Yeah, I heard about that today.
But
So
because
just
he
wanted
didn't,
to-
that's even more motivation to just come back and light the match,
Yeah.
throw it in the fire.
Both your other pick, I heard that J.J. Watt is fully 100% healthy in Houston Texans camp. So I would think that's a pretty good pick for you.
Which is the first time in a long time he's been
Yeah.
at
Correct.
that level.
He has not been fully healthy in a long time.
And I love JJ Watt. I mean, I think he's one of the greatest ends of all time if he could just stay healthy.
Yeah, how can you not love JJ Watt?
Who is your
Great,
pick?
great
Are
guy.
you going with JJ Watt or Miles?
I'll go JJ Watt.
Okay. I agree with Dom. I had a tough pick here. I'm going with Aaron Donald. The guy's a beast. He is the best defensive player in the league.
Well, the only
And
reason I
said,
can't
you didn't have to say the word defensive, Ryan.
the only reason I agree or I can't say Aaron Donald is because forever and ever now he's just going to be triple teamed on every play. He's never going to get that one-on-one ever again.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Von Miller treatment. It's harder nowadays. But,
Yeah.
if anyone could do it, it's that man right there.
Aaron
So,
Donald's insane. I'm going with Aaron Donald. We are going to move on to Offensive Rookie of the Year. Who do you guys have?
I like this one. This one's exciting for me. I have
Yeah.
Jerry Jeudy. And the way I look at it is I did some more research because when it comes to this award, quarterback, of course, is the most likely, but you still see wide receivers here and there. A lot of running backs, especially as of recently. Saquon is a guy that's won it, comes to mind. But with Jerry Jeudy, I feel like his talent is easily going to translate to NFL success. There's been such high praise around the Broncos training camp and just what he's been able to do because he worked his way up to the point where he was working with the ones, and it seemed like it wasn't even fair for veteran corners who had to line up on him. His route running's insane, and anytime you get a receiver of his caliber out of the draft class that they did where it was so stacked at that position, I like that guy's odds to play a big factor in not only Denver, but just in the NFL as a whole.
I too have Jerry Jeudy. I know it's gonna make you happy, Parker. I was close to leaning elsewhere. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Jonathan Taylor, but I hate giving running backs awards. It's just no fun. They don't matter. And then looking at quarterbacks, I don't really see any of those two, or any of the quarterbacks that are making that big of an impact for their teams. Joe Burrow certainly could have, but when I look at Jerry Jeudy, I see him being a number 2 wide receiver on a playoff caliber team that's going to have an improved offense this year. It just makes sense.
Yeah, I have Joe
Pat?
Burrow, lean, mean, Bengal machine. Pen that. That's Joe Burrow's nickname. I'm going to put a patent on that. Lean, mean, Bengal machine. That guy, he has offensive weapons to work with. I mean, he's got Joe Mixon, Tyler Boyd, AJ Green. He could have a really good year if they make a couple moves on the offensive line. I mean, literally, I think I could be one of their offensive linemen right now and be half as good as some of those guys. But I think that I was a mean offensive lineman in flag football. But no, I think that if he can produce enough to win Offensive Rookie of the Year, it's a real possibility.
Okay. I'm just going to say it. Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I have a full list of reasons, and I'm ready to give them. First off,
Chiefs, three.
starting running back, Damian Williams opted out. The assumed backup was just cut. DeAndre Washington. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is going to go off this year.
Torn
The Chiefs-
ACL week 3.
Why would you ever wish that upon
I
someone?
didn't wish it. I said it's going to happen.
Okay.
It's going to
Okay,
suck.
Pat.
Move on.
Okay.
Before
So-
you continue,
Listen, Ryan, it's a logical pick.
No, it definitely is. It could totally happen. His odds are very high as right now, and they should be. Just because the role that he's going to play with defense is being so focused on the rest of the guys. But I just want to say, I mean, what a comeback by Clyde for being your least favorite player at the draft to now being
No.
You can't.
No.
You can't roast me, Parker. You can't roast
No.
me. Okay.
Good for
I
him.
I
said.
had
I
someone else I wanted the Chiefs to pick, and I got upset.
No, but you said all week if the Chiefs draft a running back, I'm going to lose it, and that's what they did. And then
Because
that
I had
night-
other guys in mind.
But then that night you're like, I love this pick. I love Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I always have. And this is a great pick for the Chiefs. This is a
I
great
said,
pick.
hold on,
And
I
it's-
did say from the beginning, if there was a running back that the Chiefs decided to pick, it would be Clyde. I think in my opinion, I think he was the best running back in that class.
He
Has
fits the Chiefs system for sure.
he
Is
fits
he
it
worth?
perfectly.
Is he? Yeah, that's what I said.
The Chiefs are
really-
looking at him to be the next franchise back since Priest Holmes and Jamal Charles.
I mean, I hope they are. They just used a first-round draft pick on him.
He's been
defense
terrific
was-
in camp. Can you stop cutting me off? How about that?
I mean, I was trying to make a point that your defense was a league average last year, which is better than 20th. We don't need to go there. And
Better than league average.
it was 14th. That's okay, Ryan. It's like better than 16th. Okay, that's you're picking
What about
straws.
Dexter McCluster? I think he was a franchise back for you.
He was good though.
Hey,
I like
he was
watching
good.
him.
Okay, he was good, especially in punt.
Yeah, that's
on
my
punt
dog,
return.
dude. He and I are homies.
All right,
But
Clyde
no, for
Edwards
sure.
there.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Okay,
I just really wish right now I could plug in my phone or my iPad into my laptop and have that audio recording.
Here's the
from
thing.
draft night,
I'll admit it.
It was
I was
incredible.
upset with that pick. I was extremely upset with that pick. But after looking back at it, I'm good with it because one, I've liked Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I wanted the Chiefs to address a bigger need at that spot, but the way that they handled the second round by going and getting that need that I wanted them to address made me feel better. So,
Yeah. I understand that. It's just you were so adamant about it.
oh, I know I was. But
All right.
Let's move
Defensive
past
rookie
that.
of the year.
defensive rookie of the year. Do we all have Chase Young?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Well, let's
I
hear
do.
it. Let's hear
I
it.
have
Let's
Chase
hear
Young.
it.
I have,
Go ahead,
I have
Pat.
Jeff Okuda.
Okay.
Okay.
I have Jeff Okuda because I think that he is going to stand out on that Lions defense as a rookie, and I think he's going to have some good people to learn from. So I give it to Jeff Okuda.
I will say this. I almost did not pick Chase Young, and I almost went with Isaiah Simmons. I think he's going to be a beast in that Cardinals defense. I really do. His
And listening-
versatility is insane.
And listening to Steve Keim rave about how he has the potential to be their best linebacker or even safety because we all know he can play both of
Yeah.
those positions.
His versatility is insane.
Yeah, he's going to be a beast.
Moving on to, we have two more awards, and then we will get into our week one picks. Where the second to last award is going to be Comeback Player of the Year.
It's going to be Matt Stafford. I think I kind of made that clear with me picking the Lions over the Bears. So I believe that he's going to be healthy for the majority of the season and he's going to play well. Matt Stafford.
It's Cam Newton for me.
Cam Newton for me too. Wow.
Yeah, it's going to come down to him staying healthy, but I feel like if anyone could put around the right system so that he's not taking hits on a consistent
Mhm.
basis like he used to, then I think that that's going to go a long ways. And if he's able to do that, then I expect him to have a pretty good year.
Took the words right out of my mouth. Cam Newton.
I have Alex Smith. I think Alex Smith will get at least one start, and I think he deserves to win it after the recovery he made. And if he can play well in a couple games at least, he should get it.
Wonderful recovery, but he's not their starter. Like that's
I will say
He will start at least a couple games for them.
his recovery will be the most miraculous, one of the most miraculous in all of sports that I've ever seen. That documentary was very well done, and it was
Oh,
really insane.
Yeah.
But the problem is with this award, you need to be more balanced. It can't just be just about the injury and what you did in rehab. It has to be what you do on the field after that. So
And I think he's going to take over as starter at some point this year. I fully believe that.
I mean, that's not a bad idea because of the QB inconsistency in
Yeah.
Washington. But
And Ryan, what team does he play for?
The Washington football team.
I
Good
was thinking the
man.
same
Good
thing.
man. Yeah, drink,
Yes, sir.
drink.
I
All
do
right.
owe one of those. Okay,
Yes.
moving on to our
All right.
final award of the year. It is going to be Coach of the Year. Who do we have?
Yeah, coming into this, I didn't have a prediction for it. I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna take. I'll take Brian Flores. I think that the Dolphins are gonna have a winning record this year, and they're gonna get second place. I already made that very clear, and I think that they, in a division that's really up for grabs outside of first place with the Buffalo Bills, lock it in. The Dolphins, Brian Flores.
I'm going to go in that same division. I'm going to go Sean McDermott of the Bills. I think that
I like that pick.
since it's been so long since a team not named the Patriots has won this division, I feel like in the eyes of the voters, that's going to hold some significance. I'm not trying to take a shot at you, Pat. I think the Patriots will be right behind them. But I do think that that's significant because it's been so long since we've seen not only a new team win it, but the Bills. So I feel like that's going to hold some weight. And this is going to be a fun team to watch in that division. And I think that he's done a very good job up until this point. And let's see how it goes down. But I think that for me, it was difficult to think of a coach of the year because a lot of times I don't even go into a season thinking about specific reward or awards.
Yeah.
But for me, I feel like this is a pretty good one.
I have Cliff Kingsbury winning coach of the year this year.
That's a really good pick.
I think that if a lot of these pieces that they've acquired can come out and play together really well, then this team, Cliff is absolutely a candidate for coach of the year.
You guys are going to call me insane for this one. It's a hot take. I'm going Mike McCarthy.
He was my second pick, so I don't think
I
that's
really
crazy.
like Mike McCarthy this year. I think he's going to turn the culture around in Dallas, and they're going to win that division. And I think they could make a run in the playoffs. Dom, it looks like you have something to say.
That's fair.
I don't know. Let's get on to our week 1 predictions. How about that?
Yes.
Okay,
we
we'll get
are
into
at
it.
2 hours.
Yes, we are. Okay, everyone ready for week 1 predictions?
Of course, I'm ready to defend my title, Parker.
I'm winning it this year. I am winning it
by
this
one
year.
game. Hey, Ryan, let me have my moment of glory because I was the winner. Parker edged you by 1 game. We were tied going into the final week. It was a great battle. Ryan, you finished in last out of 3 of us. Third out of 4. You got 3rd out of 4th.
Okay, but he said out of the 3 of us. So
Out of the 3 of us, I got last, but technically I got 4th because Ryan was with us.
I thought you got 3rd. Whatever.
I
Anyways,
did get 3rd.
you only watch Chiefs games, so I'm not too worried about losing you again.
That's just wrong. That's just wrong.
So, Ryan, let's get this started. Do we want to put a little something on the line? Not money. It's got to be something fun, like something a little embarrassing.
yeah, little punishment
Okay.
for the loser.
All right.
Let's hear it.
After hearing some ideas from Pat, I'm a little bit worried at what he might come up with here.
No, well, the thing is, a lot of those are like dependent on knowing people from back home. So
Yeah.
shout out to my fantasy league back home. Our punishment ideas are unbeatable.
That's fair. Your punishment ideas are insane.
What if you know how we're in Arizona, and a lot of people know this, right? So we're in Arizona. You see a lot of crazy people standing on the street corner in Arizona with their signs, right, and their megaphones, right?
Oh no.
So
Oh,
what if the
no.
loser, 4th place, stands out on the street with their sign, and it's I suck at picking teams to win games, and they have to do it all day in the
Or-
Arizona heat.
Or just saying I don't know anything about football. I don't
Right.
Just
Yeah.
say I don't know
nothing
anything about.
sports. Handing out
Mhm.
pamphlets saying I suck. I mean, we got to get the whole thing going. All right, that's
I'm in,
loser.
Yeah.
We'll
Wow.
make
I'm
a
in.
video.
I'm in.
I like it.
Okay.
I'm in because I know I'm not getting last.
Okay.
I don't know.
All
I've
right.
got you guys this year. Okay, first game. Chiefs, Texans. Who do we have?
Chiefs.
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 I'm taking the Texans on spread though. They're getting a lot of points. But Chiefs.
I have the Chiefs as well. You guys expected that, though. Miami Dolphins at New England Patriots. Who do we have?
The Patriots.
I do have the Patriots, even though I do have the Dolphins finishing in front of them. I have the Patriots.
Yep. Same.
I have the Patriots as well. Browns, Ravens.
Ravens.
Baltimore.
Ravens. Jets at Bills.
Buffalo.
Bills.
I have the
Raiders?
Bills. Yes.
Okay. I have the Bills as well. Raiders at Carolina.
Carolina.
This
I have the Raiders.
I have the
Oh my
Raiders
God.
as well, but I will add this is one of those games where I could see maybe like an upset, but I'm gonna go with the Raiders nonetheless because I think they're better than people.
Carolina.
give credit.
That's my biggest upset this week.
Pat, I agree with you. I'm going with the Panthers.
Nice.
I think Christian McCaffrey is going to have a terrific game. Next up, we have Seahawks at Falcons.
Seahawks.
Seahawks.
I gotta find my list. I have the Seahawks. It's gonna be a good game.
I have the Seahawks as well. Moving on, Bears in Detroit to take on the Lions.
Bears.
Lions.
This is a tough one, but ultimately I'm gonna go with the Lions on this one.
Bears.
I'm also going to go with the Lions. I think Matthew Stafford's going to have a terrific game. Next up, we have the Colts at the Jaguars.
Colts.
Colts.
Easy.
Colts. Next up, Packers at Vikings.
Pack. Go Pack. Go.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Packers.
I do have the Packers. It's going to be a close game. Packers just own the Vikings.
I have the Packers as well. Chargers in Cincinnati to take on Joe Burrow in his first start.
Chargers.
I want to take the Bengals so bad. Obviously, I'll be rooting for them, but I'm going to take the Chargers.
I have the Chargers.
I have the Chargers as well. Cardinals at 49ers.
Niners.
Niners.
I have the Niners too.
I have the Niners as well.
I'd love to see the Cardinals win, though.
I think that's going to be a terrific game, though. Buccaneers at Saints.
Saints.
I do have the Saints as well.
I have the Saints. I think that this is going to be another terrific game, though, to start the year. Cowboys in Los Angeles to take on the Rams.
Cowboys.
Yeah, Cowboys.
I want to pick the Rams so badly, but I'm unbiased. Hashtag unbiased. I'm taking the Cowboys.
I am going to take the Cowboys as well. Steelers in New York to face off against the Giants.
Steelers.
Steelers.
I have the Steelers. I can see the Giants pulling off some miracle upset here. Though.
Yeah.
It's gonna be-
All.
It's
I have
it's
the
going to be a
Steelers.
weird Monday Night Football game.
And
I
I
have
can
the
just
Steelers.
see all the Danny Dimes fans just going crazy week one just for the disappointment to settle in later on in the year. But we'll see. I'm still
Okay.
going with Steelers, though. Let's not get that
I'm going
twisted
with the
based on
Steelers.
what I said.
Yeah, I'm going with the Steelers for sure. Titans at Broncos to conclude week one.
Titans.
This
Broncos,
became this became a lot more
Broncos.
difficult, but I'm still going to go with Denver at home. Not like
Take
the
the
home
Broncos.
field matters, but hey, the altitude's always going to be there.
Altitude. No, the
Altitude.
altitude.
That's the
So
one
it-
place that matters this year.
It will,
Yes.
yeah, exactly. With there being no fans, our home field advantage is the best in the league.
This was
Yeah.
a really tough pick for me, but I'm going to go with the Broncos. I think this is, like you guys said, the altitude is going to be a big factor this year, especially without fans. But I really think that Tennessee's going to start off with a loss and then bounce back. So I'm going to go with the Broncos. So
All right.
we have all of our picks for week one. We will update the standings next week. That is going to conclude this 2-hour NFL preview show of the 4-3 show. I know it was a long show. We had a lot to talk about. Thank you very much to everyone who sat down and stayed with us and took the time to listen and watch.
Yeah, if you stayed with us, God bless your soul.
It really, what Pat said,
Yes.
I actually agree with
Uh-huh.
Pat.
It's a long
But-
episode.
But happy football starts tomorrow with the Chiefs, the Super Bowl champions, raising the banner and the flag. So
Don't
just
care.
had
Still
football
don't
is
care.
back. Football
You
is
just had
back.
to go
Don't
there.
care.
Yes, I did.
Had
Football
to
is
ruin
back.
the outro.
Hey,
Football
football
is
is
back.
back. Go team.
Yes. Hey, go football team, actually.
Oh, yeah, can't say that anymore. Go NFL teams.
Yeah. Thank you very much for listening, everyone. We'll update everything next week and go through our week 2 predictions. Thank you very much. Have a great rest of your week and enjoy the first week of NFL football.
Mile high salute.